Chapter 1761. Yi Qinghan and Sword 13's killing intent was set, but they didn't reveal it. This mission couldn't fail, or else this news would spread to the world. Take responsibility for your own people. The two communicated at the same time. Yi Qinghan and Sword 13's faces under the bamboo hat revealed a silent smile. Pill King and the rest's deaths were due to reality. They couldn't blame anyone but reality for being too cruel. Pill King, you can't leave your subordinates alive. I'll tell you this. Today, only the three of us can survive. Yi Qinghan communicated. Pill King's body trembled. After killing his subordinates, his life would depend on Yi Qinghan's protection. His life and death would be in Yi Qinghan's hands. I need you to fight for the materials I need, so I won't let you die. I can't let you die here either. But after you leave, pretend nothing happened here. Completely forget that there's an underground palace here. Yi Qinghan warned. Pill King could hear Yi Qinghan's decisiveness. He knew that if he rejected their request, not to mention the 12 subordinates, even he would die. Since the heavens want you to die, you have to die. Pill King gritted his teeth. With a flip of his palm, he controlled the poisonous bug medicine in their bodies, and quickly swallowed their souls and flesh. Ah! Shrill screams made the underground palace seem like a real hell. The 12 corpses quickly fell to the ground. In the end, not even their corpses were left. Sword 13's 2-sector Lord Level 9 experts' faces changed. They immediately looked at Sword 13 and Yi Qinghan vigilantly. What are you doing? Didn't you say everyone would keep their secrets? The two asked angrily. Li Yifeng, Lu Chanjun, kill yourselves. I promise that as long as I don't die, your family will be glorious forever. Sword 13 replied coldly. Sword 13, we belong to the Sword Path Sect's special team. We only listen to the sect leader. Although you have a high position, you don't have the authority to order us to kill ourselves. If you dare to attack us today, we'll fight to the death. Li Yifeng warned angrily. Jian Shisan tore off his bamboo hat, held onto his divine sword as he stared at the two of them, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Just the likes of you are worthy of fighting to the death with me? Sword 13 asked back with disdain. The Medicine King was currently trembling with fear. He had already guessed Jian Shisan's identity from the start, and now that he had shed all pretense of cordiality, he knew that he would be in more and more danger. Yi Qinghan patted the Medicine King's old body. The Insect Queen followed Yi Qinghan's hand and pierced through the Medicine King's body. Countless insect larvae entered his blood vessels. As a great god pill master, the Medicine King knew he was finished on the spot. He couldn't help but roar in despair. You promised this old man that you would spare me and let me help you find the ingredients. What are you doing? Yi Qinghan took off his bamboo hat, revealing his jade-like face. With a wave of his hand, the oilcloth was removed, and the dark metal rod appeared in his hand, blocking the exit of the passage. He calmly replied, Pill King, I'm sorry, but I only believe in myself. With the Insect Queen Mother invading your body, you have no chance of detoxifying it. No matter how poisonous the insects are, they are nothing but nourishment for it. It will erode your soul and take complete control of your soul and body. Your subordinates will help me find the materials I need. Yi Qinghan, you won't have a good death. The Medicine King recognized Yi Qinghan and immediately roared. He poured the antidote into his body with all his might, but as soon as it entered his stomach, it was devoured by the insect larvae. It had no effect at all. Instead, it made the insect larvae even more active. At this time, if Li Yifeng and Lu Chanjun still didn't know Yi Qinghan's identity, they would be idiots. But when Yi Qinghan revealed himself, they felt even more despair. Sword 13 alone was enough to stop them here. Now that there was an additional Yi Qinghan, it was even more impossible for them to escape. As long as you kill yourselves, my words just now will still count. Jian Shisan clenched his sword hilt and stared at the two of them. Li Feng and Lu Chanjun trembled. Their sword-wielding hands were somewhat unsteady. Their eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. How many years had it taken to cultivate to this level? Were they really going to give up today? Yi Qinghan stood in the middle of the passageway and stared at the two of them. If the two of you transform into the Tao, you can still be reincarnated with complete soul bodies. If you fight with us, your souls will be destroyed. Even if you are lucky enough to escape and return to the Sword Tao sect, will the Sword Tao Sacred Lord let you live to protect this secret? No. You'll even implicate your clansmen. If you don't flee to the Sword Tao sect, will you be able to leave the eternal sacred land alive? If you can't leave, your clansmen will also be implicated in the end. The outcome will be the same, or even more tragic. Li Feng and Lu Chanjun shed a tear of unwillingness in despair. Reality was forcing them to do so. No one could do anything against the will of heaven. Lord Shisan, please keep your word. The two stared at Jian Shisan and replied painfully. Jian Shisan nodded. He watched as the two formed hand seals and burned their vitality. Their souls gradually dissipated and were guided by the order of reincarnation. They quickly disappeared, leaving behind two collapsed corpses on the ground. We can't let the people outside live. Otherwise, we won't be able to hide from my two senior brothers. When the time comes, we'll say that we encountered a half-step eternal sovereign. Only the two of us survived with serious injuries. Then, we'll seal this place and find another passage to enter this place to comprehend. What do you think? Jian Shisan looked at Yi Qinghan and suggested. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He really didn't want to kill some people, but they really couldn't be allowed to live. I'm sorry. I don't want to do this either. But if you don't die, you'll be summoned by revered Lord Sword. Sooner or later, you'll be exposed. At that time, we'll still die. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself. The two glanced around the underground palace and found that it was very spacious. It was like a real palace with many endless rooms. There was a layer of steel cast on top of it. It was about dozens of meters deep. It was located in a remote area close to the mountain range, so it hadn't been discovered by the world until now. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan put the two corpses in another room and quickly withdrew from the passage. Then, they summoned Qin Fenghua and the others into the underground palace. No one knew that Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan wanted to kill them. Of the 50 people who came, only 2 returned in the end. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan were in a bad mood, but in order to keep the secret of the underground palace, they had no choice but to kill. As soon as they entered the underground palace, Yi Qinghan turned into a blue demon dragon and directly wrapped more than a dozen powerhouses. All the people he brought were burned by the blue demon fire. Shrill screams quickly disappeared into the void. Xiao Xiao, Jian Shisan attacked almost at the same time. His sword moves were like lightning. This group of people didn't expect that Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan would kill them, so they were caught off guard and were instantly wiped out. Not a single one was left. Yi Qinghan's expression was somewhat ugly. This was the only time he had acted against his will. However, Jian Shisan said expressionlessly, "A general's success is built on thousands of bones. As long as we control the method to kill an eternal sovereign, what does the death of these people count for?" Yi Qinghan looked coldly at Jian Shisan. His vigilance towards this person grew stronger. Chapter 1762. Yi Qinghan smiled and didn't say much. Things had already developed to this point, so it was pointless to think too much. Let's go in and see what kind of shocking secrets are hidden in this underground palace, Yi Qinghan suggested. Jian Shisan stood with his sword in hand, distancing himself from Yi Qinghan. It was obvious that neither of them trusted the other, especially in this environment. Whoever made the first move could cause fatal damage to the other. "Please!" Jian Shisan gestured with his hand. Yi Qinghan sighed and whispered, Brother Sher-san, you don't have to be so cautious. You can't kill me here, and I can't kill you either. I can't kill you either, or I'll attract the attention of the eternal sacred land. I won't be able to escape from the eternal sacred land even if I had 10 lives. Jian Sher-san smiled silently, then hid his sword within his sleeve and replied indifferently, Brother Yi is indeed extraordinary. No wonder even the experts of the 3 great powers were unable to kill you when they joined forces. If you don't mind, then I'll take you as my brother. Yi Qinghan smiled. Then I'll be climbing up the social ladder. I'm more interested in Brother Ye's future achievements. In today's large world, even an eternal expert can't fight against the holy empires of the Central Plains. At least a friend can look out for you. Moreover, you're a pill master. If we're talking about climbing up the social ladder, it's you. I've cultivated for a bit longer than you. If you don't mind calling me Brother Sher-san, I can swear on my Tao heart that if I betray Brother Yi in this life, my Tao heart will shatter and I'll never reach the eternal immortal realm. Jian Sher-san stared at Yi Qinghan and raised his hand, pointing to the top of his head. There may not be any gods, but there must be the heavens. The heavens are my witness. If I, Jian Sher-san, speak a single lie, I'll die without a burial place. Yi Qinghan looked at Jian Sher-san's solemn expression and his expression became serious. He bowed slightly and said, Brother Sher-san, I don't believe in vows, but I believe in your vows. I can guarantee that if you don't betray me, I won't betray you. All right, younger brother Yi, with these words of yours, I'm relieved. Sword 13 stretched out his hand and patted Yi Qinghan's shoulder as he laughed frankly and frankly. Yi Qinghan responded with a smile. He then turned to look at the ashes of Qin Fenghua and the others. In the end, he couldn't bear it and put them away. He said in a serious tone, 13th brother, can you help me treat the descendants of these families well? Exempt them from 100,000 years of worship and provide them with some help? The Medicine King was completely crippled. His eyes were lifeless as he was controlled by the Insect Queen Mother. His soul did not even have the chance to resist. With regards to the group of people that Yi Qinghan had found, Jian Sher-san did not need to investigate to know who they were. Fire Beacon City, Yu Clan, and their friends, I will exempt them from 100,000 years of worship and provide them with protection. Take it as me giving you face, little brother. As for Southern Abyss City, you can deal with it yourself. Jian Sher-san replied straightforwardly. Yi Qinghan nodded with satisfaction and took the initiative to walk in front, heading towards the depths of the underground palace. The interior of the underground palace had long been opened by the half-step Eternal Sovereign. The surrounding rooms had not been opened so far. The runes on them should have been sealed by the Eternal Sovereign himself. No one could open them except for the Eternal Sovereign. A crystal coffin was located in the depths of the underground palace. It was completely transparent. A corpse was lying inside. There was a big hole in its chest that almost pierced through the body. 2 golden heavenly dragons were sealed on the crystal coffin, completely sealing the lid of the coffin. The attacker was most likely another Eternal Sovereign. Otherwise, the half-step Eternal Sovereign would have opened the coffin and thoroughly studied it. The corpse inside was majestic. Although it had been dead for countless years, it still carried a strong heavenly might that spread out through the crystal coffin. Hiss, dong dong dong. Huff huff huff. At this moment, Jian Sher-san's breathing was rapid and his whole body was tense. He had seen an Eternal Sovereign before and knew that the corpse in front of him was definitely an Eternal Sovereign. An Eternal Sovereign is not an immortal. They can really be killed. Once this news spreads, the entire world will be plunged into the flames of war. Our sword Tao Great Eternal Sacred Ground will be the first to bear the brunt. Jian Sher-san roared hoarsely. Yi Qinghan clenched his fist. Now that he thought about it, he didn't know if it was right or wrong to kill the 40 people who helped him. But if he let them go, how many people would die because of this? Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches as he stared at the bloody hole in the Eternal Sovereign's chest. The blood had yet to dry up and the corpse was indeed immortal. But the soul was already dead. We don't have time to study it. It's too late to go back. With so many dead, Senior Marshal Brother will be suspicious. Jian Shisan said solemnly. Yi Qinghan nodded and quickly left the underground palace with Jian Shisan. After figuring out the mechanism, they completely destroyed the two statues and sealed the mountain range before quickly leaving. Back in the heaven-suppressing palace, Yi Qinghan mobilized the city guards to maintain order and ordered some respectable people to take control of the city. Then, Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan headed straight for the heaven-suppressing palace's mineral vein. The mineral vein area was endless, and countless resources were stored here. There was a large army guarding it, and there were also several experts. However, when facing Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan, they didn't even have the chance to resist, and were directly smashed into pieces. Yi Qinghan quickly found the Yu clan's people. He didn't reveal his identity, and only asked them to take control of the mineral vein. The news of the heaven-suppressing palace being uprooted in one night spread far and wide, shocking the world. The heaven-suppressing palace that was at the peak of its power was razed to the ground in one night. Everyone seemed to know about it. At least, no one in the Sword Dao Great Eternal Sacred Ground talked about it. In the sacred palace of the Saint City, Lord Sword stared coldly at the corpses of Shi Zhentian and the others. He waved his hand and said, "Men, bury them." Yes. A group of disciples quickly carried the 5 corpses away. Sacred Chess Sovereign smiled and shook his head. Shi Zhentian was so stubborn. In the end, he still didn't tell us why he wanted so many tribute. There must be someone powerful behind him. Senior Marshal Brother, don't be angry. When Shisan returns, the truth will be revealed. And Lord Sword nodded. He didn't panic at all. But there's news from the Life Tablet room. The disciples that followed Shisan all died in battle. Sacred Chess Sovereign continued. Sigh, I hope nothing happens to Shisan. Lord Sword sighed with a solemn expression. A month later, Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan rushed to the Saint City to meet Lord Sword. Lord Sword asked in surprise, "There's an expert on the same level as me in the heaven-suppressing palace?" Senior Marshal Brother, it's true. If I didn't reveal my identity in time, Brother Yi and I would have died. After that person found out about my identity, he left on his own accord. I've checked and found out that there are countless resources hidden in the place Senior Marshal Brother's sect master suspected. I've brought them all back. Jian Shisan said solemnly. Lord Sword obviously wouldn't suspect Jian Shisan. After listening to Jian Shisan and Yi Qinghan's explanation, he said, Yi Qinghan, the 6 factions you mentioned, since their clan masters died in this mission, their tributes will be exempted for 100,000 years. As for protection, everyone knows about it. Don't tell them and I'll make sure they don't die. Chapter 1763. Being exempted from 100,000 years of worship was a huge sum of money. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly to express his gratitude. He then left the sacred palace and returned to the Yu family. The Yu family and Qin Xianxian were panicking. The atmosphere was dead silent. Yu Zongxing's life tablet was broken, but it was not broken. No one knew if he was dead or severely injured. As for Qin Fenghua, his life tablet was in Fire Beacon City. Qin Xianxian was also very anxious. Qin Xianxian understood the danger of this mission. It was normal for some people to die. Just as everyone was waiting, Yi Qinghan returned. He was still wearing a bamboo hat. However, his gloomy mood made everyone even more anxious. I'm sorry that I couldn't bring your clan masters back. Yi Qinghan's voice was very low. Qin Xuanxuan's body swayed and he slumped onto the chair in despair. The few elders of the Yu family immediately cried in grief. They were all Yu Zongxing's sons. Their cultivation was not bad, but they definitely could not lead their family to survive in the sacred city. I have already applied to the Sword Principal sect. The Qin family, the Yu family, and their 4 friends' families will be exempted from worship for 100,000 years. They have also agreed. Yi Qinghan stared at everyone and said, 100,000 years of worship was good news. To these elders who were about to turn into Tao, it was worth it to die in exchange for 100,000 years of worship. These families also thought so. Although the Yu family was sad, they did not make things difficult for Yi Qinghan. The Sun family, Lu family, Tang family, and Chao family were the families of Yu Zongxing's friends. They were in the sacred city and lived together with the Yu family. Yi Qinghan personally went to pass the message. After passing the message, Yi Qinghan returned to the Yu family. He went to the room alone and completely sealed the room. He heaved a sigh of relief. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and more than 10 souls appeared in the room. However, their souls were weak and almost collapsed. Mr. Yang, why did you destroy our bodies? Why did Lord Sword 13 kill his subordinates? Why is that? Qin Fenghua's soul, who was the first to awaken, rebuked angrily. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth in silence. He had destroyed their bodies, but the blue flame demonic fire hadn't destroyed their bodies. However, he still felt extremely guilty. He couldn't answer their questions, which were the purest form of their souls. Yu Zongxing was still able to accept it. After all, he was already nearing the end of his lifespan. He could die at any moment. Brother Fenghua, forget it. I'm sure Mr. Yang was forced to do so. You've also seen how ruthless Lord Sword 13 was when he killed his own subordinate. Mr. Yang is already taking a risk by leaving our souls behind. Yu Zongxing persuaded in a low voice. Or. Xians. Yi Qinghan nodded. The 12 souls remained silent. They had no choice in this mission that would lead to their deaths, and neither did Yi Qinghan. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I won't let anything happen to your families, Yi Qinghan said with certainty. With great difficulty, Yi Qinghan finally managed to pacify everyone's souls. He wrapped them up in a pouch filled with life elixirs and hid it in his bosom. After that, he left the Yu clan. In the Medicine King's pavilion, the Medicine King had returned, but his soul no longer belonged to him. It had been replaced by the Insect Queen. Yi Qinghan came to the top of the Medicine King's pavilion and found Medicine King. At this moment, many materials were delivered to him. When the Insect Queen saw Yi Qinghan, she immediately delivered all the materials to Yi Qinghan and said respectfully, Master, these are the materials you asked for. The extreme yin and extreme yang godly treasures are in our hands. Now we're only missing the reincarnation Tao fruit. Yi Qinghan nodded in satisfaction and reminded them, do not expose yourself. Move most of the Medicine King's pavilion and Medicine King Manor's assets to the Heaven Suppressing Palace. We will use the Heaven Suppressing Palace as our base to build a small faction and hide here for the time being. Yes, Master. The Insect Queen replied respectfully. After receiving the materials, Yi Qinghan did not leave. Instead, he stayed in the Medicine King's pavilion to study the Immortality Pellet's recipes, memorizing every single detail. Then, Yi Qinghan flipped through the ancient books and recipes in the Medicine King's pavilion. There were countless pellet recipes here, and most of them were lost in history. There were all sorts of pellet recipes ranging from the lowest level to the highest level of level 14. Yi Qinghan continued to flip through the book, reading 10 lines at a time and memorizing them all. Insect Queen, help me make a copy of all the pellet recipes here. I want to take the original with me. Yi Qinghan was completely entranced by the pill recipes and couldn't bear to part with them. Thus he ordered. The Insect Queen Mother quickly released countless insect children, which formed into human forms and started copying the pellet recipes. The room was simply decorated. It was filled with bookshelves and each shelf had hundreds of pellet recipes. Some of the pellet recipes were poisons that could kill without leaving a trace, while others were precious saint medicines that could save lives. Yi Qinghan paced back and forth in the room. He felt that there were some places that he hadn't found yet. After searching for a long time, Yi Qinghan's gaze landed on the furnace in the room. The furnace contained endless vicissitudes of life. He didn't know its level or how long it had been in the world. Every rune represented a period of history. Yi Qinghan reached out to pick it up and take it away. But suddenly, he couldn't lift it up. Yi Qinghan looked at the black furnace in surprise. He realized that the furnace was connected to the Medicine King's pavilion. Creak! Yi Qinghan gently turned it. He realized that the furnace could be turned, but he couldn't lift it up. Boom! Just as Yi Qinghan turned the furnace, the two bookshelves separated and a small room appeared. There was another bookshelf in the room. There was only one book and a very small furnace. It was only the size of a casserole pot. There were small furnaces like this, but they were all substandard. However, this furnace was clearly not a substandard one. What a treasure! Yi Qinghan touched the small cauldron. It was purple gold in color, and after touching it, he felt a cold sensation. He felt as if he was holding up a mountain. This kind of cauldron was probably a rare treasure. It was definitely a 15th grade cauldron or above. Yi Qinghan hid it in his chest and looked at the only book on the bookshelf. Rather than a book, it was more like a notebook. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up when he flipped it open. He read it carefully and almost laughed out loud. Longevity Elixir Refining Techniques. This was the personal notes of a saint alchemy master. Although there were no pellet recipes in it, there were many high-grade elixir refining techniques. Its value was beyond astronomical. Chapter 1764. The Saint Alchemy Master's handwritten notes were exactly what Yi Qinghan lacked. Yi Qinghan's alchemy ability was definitely top-notch. After all, he had the blue flame demon fire. However, he knew nothing about alchemy recipes or alchemy technique. Yi Qinghan sat in a small room, flipping through his notes. However, they were only about alchemy technique. From these techniques, he could deduce some of the ingredients needed to refine a pill, but it wasn't comprehensive. If he wanted to truly refine a divine pill, he still needed a pill recipe. The Medicine King Pavilion didn't have a single 5th-rank pill recipe. Only the Medicine King knew where the notes had come from. In 3 days, the Insect Queen used her countless brood insects to copy the pill recipes. Finally, she finished copying all of them. Yi Qinghan took all of the original copies. The Insect Queen continued to oversee the Medicine King Pavilion. She transferred 80% of the Manor and Medicine King Manor's resources to Yi Qinghan. Aside from 20% to maintain their operations, the rest was given to Yi Qinghan. On this day, the pill refinement competition ended. Qin Xianxian placed 6th. With Nanyuan Zhengbei and Yi Qinghan's help, he was able to advance to the top 3. News of the Pill Master Society's headquarters moving to Fire Beacon City spread throughout the sacred land of Sword Dao. Fire Beacon City was bustling with activity. Countless families and businesses headed to Fire Beacon City to purchase real estate and land. With the Pill Master Society there would be endless business opportunities. Qin Xianxian cried tears of joy. He hugged Yi Qinghan and said bitterly, "It's too bad grandfather can't see it. He'd be so happy otherwise." Yi Qinghan rubbed Qin Xuanxuan's head and smiled bitterly. "He'll know that your efforts haven't been in vain," he said gently. "Thank you, master. Grandfather will be happy to see Fire Beacon City's glory days." Qin Xianxian looked up at Yi Qinghan's handsome face and tiptoed to kiss his lip. Yi Qinghan looked down at Qin Xuanxuan's teary eyes. His heart skipped a beat as he carried him to the bed. Several days later, all matters in the holy city were settled. Yi Qinghan went to the holy hall to bid farewell to revered Lord Sword and the others before sending Qin Xianxian to Fire Beacon City. The two of them bought a horse carriage and sped along the way. In half a month, they arrived at Liao City. Borrowing the teleportation array, they returned to Fire Beacon City in half a day. Many powerful forces had already smelled the business opportunity. Before Qin Xuanxuan's elder brother, Qin Xianxian, could react, many people had already swarmed over, offering high prices to purchase the Feng Shui treasured land. The main city had been expanded by more than 10 times due to this group of companies, and countless shops had opened in response. Qin Xianluo was a little dazed. With so many trading companies, the amount of offerings they gave each year was immeasurable. Yi Qinghan quickly brought Qin Xianxian into the main city. When they returned to the Qin residence, Qin Xianluo hurriedly came forward to welcome them. There were still some white cloths and lanterns hanging in the Qin residence. There was also a coffin in the courtyard that the Qin clan had prepared for Qin Fenghua. Qin Xianxian looked at Qin Xianluo and whispered, "Grandpa left a final order for you to take over Fire Beacon City. Brother, now that we have won the Alchemist Association over, Grandpa sacrificed his life for this. You must bring glory to Fire Beacon City." Qin Xianluo nodded solemnly and said solemnly, "Sister, Fire Beacon City has many things waiting to be done. There are not many experts left in the family. With you and me working together, Fire Beacon City will definitely prosper." Yi Qinghan was relieved to see how close the siblings were. "Is there a teleportation array from Fire Beacon City to Heaven Suppressing Palace?" Yi Qinghan asked. Qin Xianxian and Qin Xianluo shook their heads. Heaven Suppressing Palace was so powerful that it was connected to many places. They did not even bother to build a teleportation array with a city like Fire Beacon City. Yi Qinghan took out a map and studied it for a few days. Finally, he built a teleportation array outside of Fire Beacon City that could reach Heaven Suppressing Palace. It would only take 1 day to travel between the two cities. After Yi Qinghan returned to Heaven Suppressing Palace, he built another teleportation array outside of Heaven Suppressing Palace that could reach Fire Beacon City. The two cities were now truly connected. After everything was settled, Yi Qinghan began sending the Look clan's people to the south of Heaven Suppressing Palace. He filled up the empty area so that no one would suspect anything. The Look clan's people did not understand why Yi Qinghan would take such special care of their clan. They were deeply grateful to Yi Qinghan and were afraid that they would offend him again. Yi Qinghan saw that there were still more than half of the Look clan's people left. It was just that there were no experts left. Now that he had returned the favor to Lu Qingqing, he heaved a breath of relief. Far away, in the great Buddha city of Blessed Buddha Temple's territory, Heaven Chant Inn, Zhang Yingshi, the owner of Heaven Chant Inn, was reading the report. Although he was curious about the Heaven Suppressing Palace's destruction, he had a feeling that Lu Qingqing had something to do with it. Zhang Yingshi summoned Lu Qingqing to the Earth Room. He stared at Lu Qingqing and passed the report to her. Lu Qingqing looked at the report and cried tears of joy. She knelt before Zhang Yingshi and said respectfully, "Owner, please allow Qingqing to return home for a while." Zhang Yingshi looked at Lu Qingqing, who was still a virgin, and shook his head. "Lu Qingqing, once you are a member of Heaven Chant Inn, you will be a member of Heaven Chant Inn forever. I, Zhang Yingshi, am not a heartless person. I will allow you to return home. But if the Heaven Chant Inn needs you to fight, you cannot refuse." Hearing this, Yu Qingqing was overjoyed. She kowtowed again and presented a storage ring to Zhang Yingshi with both hands. She said softly, "Thank you, Dojo Master, for your kindness. Qingqing is eternally grateful. In the future, as long as Dojo Master summons me, I will repay you even if I have to die." Since the Look clan has just been released, they are in urgent need of money. Take these and return home. I will accept your kindness. Zhang Yingshi waved his hand and said, "Go. Remember, report back once every 100 years or I will personally look for you." Lu Qingqing was overjoyed. She immediately left the earth room and went to the Heaven Chant Inn to bid farewell to the Heaven Chant ladies. The 10 Heaven Chant ladies were as close as sisters. Now that the Lu clan had been released, they were all happy for her. Sisters, as long as I have a way, I will definitely save your family. Lu Qingqing packed her things. She carried her zither and dressed in white. She was extremely beautiful. Sister, be careful. The ladies said their farewells with tears in their eyes. After the painful parting, Lu Qingqing was eager to return home. She quickly left the Heaven Chant Inn. Zhang Yingshi stood on the 20th floor and looked at Lu Qingqing's back. She rubbed her fingers together and her eyes were emotionless. The Heaven Suppressing Palace was taken out in one night. The Sword Dao sect must be behind this. But the Sword Dao sect has no reason to do so, Zhang Yingshi muttered to himself. Then, he hurriedly wrote a letter and left behind a letter before disappearing from the Heaven Chant dojo. He followed behind Yu Qingqing not too far away. Lu Qingqing did not know that Zhang Yingshi was following her. She was running at full speed, her white dress fluttering in the wind. She stepped on the ground and a melody echoed in the fields. On the second day, in the Heaven Suppressing Palace's central district, the Heaven Chant Inn's branch received a message. The inn master was also a woman of great beauty. Her cultivation level was not inferior to Zhang Yingshi's. After reading the message, she crushed the talisman. Chapter 1765. In the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture, there were many things waiting to be done. The war had flattened 80% of the buildings in the main city, resulting in countless casualties. These days, the people within the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture were in a state of panic. With the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture being flattened, the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture city was naturally afraid of being implicated. Thus, even the Heaven Chant Buildings branch kept a low profile. Yi Qinghan gave out a few more orders, reducing the tributes of all the villages, the smaller clans by 50%, the bigger clans and sects by 40%, and the merchants by 30%. Only then did the entire Heaven Suppressing Prefecture city become lively again, attracting countless experts and clans to come and live in this huge territory. Now, Yi Qinghan had no one to help him. He had to do everything himself. Some things were too busy and he had to select some talents from the Yu clan. However, their cultivation levels were too weak to handle the overall situation. Some of the clans volunteered themselves and wanted to join Yi Qinghan, but Yi Qinghan welcomed them one by one, assessed them, and found some reliable talents. The Heaven Suppressing Prefecture was rebuilt once again, and Yi Qinghan paid 100,000 strands of wealth to hire carpenters and workers. Building a large area was not dangerous and was considered a decent job. Most of the workers were old men who came to sign up, but they were conscientious and responsible, afraid that they would do something wrong and anger their employer. Yi Qinghan was very generous to these people. He did not delay their payment and directly distributed 100,000 strands of wealth to them. In just a month's time, a huge manor appeared in the center of the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture city. However, the manor was no longer called Heaven Suppressing Prefecture but Crazed Manor. The purpose was simple, it was to attract the crazed sex people to come and report. Yi Qinghan lived in a secluded and beautiful courtyard in the manor. It was close to the mountains and rivers, and the spiritual energy was abundant. In a month's time, other than dealing with the matters in the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture city, he also had to reclaim all the mineral resources in the city and replace them with new workers. However, instead of using slaves, he paid for them to do so. Yi Qinghan's series of actions were welcomed by the people in the Heaven Suppressing Prefecture city. Just as the Crazed Manor was officially built, an uninvited guest arrived at the city gate. She was dressed in white and looked like a goddess descending from the heavens. It was Lu Qingqing. She carried a zither on her back and smiled widely, shocking the people around her. No one knew who he was, but that didn't stop them from having a sense of beauty. This is a woman of the highest quality. Who is she? Why haven't I seen her before? Everyone asked in surprise. When the Lu clan was destroyed, Lu Qingqing was still very young. Moreover, she belonged to a noble family and rarely came out. Now that she had grown up, her temperament had undergone a complete transformation. Her smile could topple cities, and when she walked, she could even move the rhythm of heaven and earth, extremely pleasing to the ear. May I ask, where is the Yu clan? Yu Qingqing danced gracefully and arrived in front of a young man, asking in a crisp voice. The young man's mind was a blur and he lost consciousness. He could only see Lu Qingqing's face in his eyes, but he couldn't hear anything. She's looking at me. Is she talking to me? It's over. I've fallen. I love her. The goddess in my heart has changed. Most of the men on the street seemed to have gone crazy. Even the women regarded her as a goddess, their eyes wide open. Yu Qingqing was used to such gazes, and shook her head repeatedly. She nudged the young man in front of her with her fingertips and smiled again. May I ask where the Yu family is? But the young man's eyes were shining, his soul was empty, and he was drooling. I know. A young man took the opportunity and pushed the young man in front of Yu Qingqing away. His face was filled with adoration and he bowed. Fairy, the Yu clan is now a noble family in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city. They are greatly favored by the city lord and have been moved to the south district. All the nobles are there, please let me lead the way for you. Go away. How can you blaspheme the fairy's face? You should let the noble family's disciple lead the way. At this moment, another young man in brocade robes and a few guards forcefully pushed the young man to the other side. Their faces were full of desire. Fairy, I am Mu Shanhe from the heaven-suppressing prefecture city's Mu Yu Trading Company. I have some ties with the Yu clan. Why don't you let me lead the way for you? The young man in luxurious clothes said evilly. Yu Qingqing despised the young man in her heart. When the Yu clan was in trouble, which family in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city was willing to help them? They all watched from the sidelines and took advantage of the situation. This Mu Yu Trading Company was the worst as they were the first to surrender to the heaven-suppressing prefecture. Forget it, I don't have the fortune to enjoy it. I can find my way around. Yu Qingqing's face froze for a second, just like an ice fairy. But the more she acted like this, the more men wanted to conquer her. Yu Qingqing walked around Mu Shanhe and quickly headed towards the city center. But Mu Shanhe was like a mangy dog, staring at her, and Yu Qingqing was so angry that she almost attacked him. In the Kuang manor, an old butler rushed from the manor to Yi Qinghan's courtyard. City Lord, I heard there is a young lady outside the city. She carries a zither and says she is looking for the Yu clan. The butler bowed outside the door and reported. Yi Qinghan was studying some pellet recipes when he heard the butler's words. Bring her to me. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and said calmly. With that, Yi Qinghan continued studying the Saint Pellet Master's handwritten letter, hoping to come up with some level 15 pellet recipes to aid his cultivation. Not far away from the Kuang manor, Mu Shanhe was still pestering Yu Qingqing. Wang. Yu Qingqing played the zither and a powerful soul attack blasted towards Mu Shanhe. She only used 30% of her strength, but it was enough to send him flying. Pung! Mu Shanhe knocked down a few guards and his soul was in a daze. He almost fainted, and when he regained consciousness, he shouted angrily, You stinking woman, you don't want face. If you want to curry favor with the Lu clan, why don't you curry favor with the Mu clan? If I want you, you will not be able to escape from me. Scram! How dare you humiliate the city lord's guest? Tell your clan master to kneel in front of the Kuang manor, or else the lord will pay you a visit personally. The butler appeared with 2 experts and said coldly. The people following Yu Qingqing did not dare to offend Mu Shanhe. When they heard the butler's words, they immediately gloated and criticized. Ha ha ha, Mu Yu Trading Company is finished. Let him be so arrogant and despotic. He kicked the iron gate of the Kwang Manor. Everyone whispered and mocked. Mu Shanha stood rooted to the ground, his face full of fear. He was completely dumbfounded. Yu Qingqing was also stunned. She did not know anyone from the Kwang Manor. Why would the city lord send the butler to personally invite her? Your manor lord is... Yu Qingqing bowed slightly and asked in a crisp voice. My clan master said that it is an old friend. You will know when you get there. The butler bowed back. Yu Qingqing was a little cautious, but the butler had already turned around and indicated for her to go to the Kwang Manor first before going to the Yu clan. Chapter 1766. As the saying went, a powerful dragon could not suppress a snake in its old haunts. Lu Qingqing also suspected that the manor lord was related to Yi Qinghan, so she braced herself and went to Kwang Manor. Now that Kwang Manor had been completed, it was surrounded by mountains, rivers, trees, flowers, and green willows. Immortal qi lingered in the air, and it felt like a jade palace. The cost of building Kwang Manor was not small. It contained a defensive formation, and the materials used were also terrifying. Yi Qinghan had paid more than 300,000 for the labor alone, 100,000 for the beginning, 100,000 for the middle, and another 100,000 for the end. The cost of the materials was more than 1,000,000. Many places were cast with divine iron, and there were tunnels below. One led to the underground palace, and the other led to the outside of the city. However, the people who dug the tunnels were all under Yi Qinghan's control. Every one of them had an insect prince insect on them, and the people who dug the tunnels were all city guards, so it was easy to control them. Yu Qingqing walked in the manor with a face full of appreciation. She was enjoying herself so much that she forgot to go home. Living in such a manor was quite good. The housekeeper jogged all the way and led Lu Qingqing to Yi Qinghan's door. Master, this young lady is here. The housekeeper stood at the door. He knew that Yi Qinghan did not allow anyone to enter the manor, so he stood outside and bowed. Let her in. A low and deep voice came from the courtyard. Lu Qingqing was shocked. She felt that the voice was very familiar, but it was also very vague. She could not be sure if it was Yi Qinghan. The housekeeper waved his hand, and Lu Qingqing pushed the door open and entered alone. She closed the door behind her and was stunned by the layout of the manor. There was a fake mountain, and all around it were high-grade divine herbs. The lowest grade was a 12-grade divine herb. The courtyard was about 20 feet wide. There were 2 bamboo houses in the north, and there was a small pavilion in front of the houses. There was a lotus pond in the east, and there were some divine herbs planted in it. There were hundreds of flowers everywhere, and spiritual energy filled the air. There was a man sitting in the pavilion. He had a head of black hair, and his back was facing the lotus pond. From the door, only the side of his face could be seen. Half of his face was enough to conquer the world. At this moment, he was reading the Saint Alchemy Master's handwritten alchemy manual, and he was writing and deducing, trying to deduce the pill recipe. Yi Qinghan. Yu Qingqing was trembling with excitement. Just looking at the side of his face was enough to confirm that the man in front of her was the one she had been yearning for day and night. I've already done what I promised you. Yi Qinghan slowly got up and turned to smile at Lu Qingqing. Whoosh! Carrying her zither, Yu Qingqing quickly rushed towards Yi Qinghan, stretching out her jade-like arms to hug his broad shoulders. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. Yu Qingqing was incomparably excited. She looked up at Yi Qinghan, her eyes filled with gratitude and admiration. Yi Qinghan smiled and pulled Lu Qingqing's hand to let her sit down. Why did the heavenly chant house allow you to come back? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. Yu Qingqing said with an innocent face, the house master is very good. She seems to be very strict with us, but as long as we don't betray her, she will treat us as sisters. Yi Qinghan sneered. If someone like Zhang Yingshi was really so innocent, how could he oversee a region? How could he become the confidant of an eternal sovereign? Don't expose my identity after you return. If there are any problems, you must report to me. You are not allowed to hide anything, understand? Yi Qinghan reminded in a deep voice. And you are my great benefactor. This little girl has no way to repay you. Yu Qingqing replied playfully. Yi Qinghan interrupted Yu Qingqing's words in advance. He reached out and pinched her chin, raising her head, and said with an evil smile, "If you have no way to repay me, then repay me with your body. Tonight you are mine. I need you. I hope you can serve me well." Yu Qingqing shyly lowered her head like a chick pecking at rice. She didn't have any intention of rejecting him. Yi Qinghan nodded, very satisfied with Yu Qingqing's attitude. He said, "Go to the Yu clan and take a look. Don't run around in the southern district. The Yu clan's back mountain is a forbidden area. No one is allowed to enter, including your Yu clan's people. Understand?" Yu Qingqing nodded repeatedly, as obedient as a child. "Go. When you return, come directly to this courtyard. Clean yourself up after the journey." Yi Qinghan smiled. "Yes, master. Tonight, Xiaonu will definitely satisfy both your body and mind." Lu Qingqing pretended to be a female slave and teased Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was so provoked by Yu Qingqing that he almost couldn't control himself, but in the end, he managed to hold himself back. "Go quickly. I'm sure the Yu clan's people are also waiting for your return." Yi Qinghan patted Yu Qingqing's head, indicating for her to leave. Yu Qingqing quickly left the courtyard. Yi Qinghan watched her departing figure with vigilance in his heart. Zhang Yingshi wouldn't be so kind as to let her return. What is Zhang Yingshi planning? Yi Qinghan slowly stepped out of the courtyard and went to an observation tower next to the manor's high walls. He looked at the streets outside the manor. Yu Qingqing skipped her way to the southern district. There were many people in the surroundings because the Muyue Trading Company's family head was kneeling at the entrance. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like torches. He didn't care about the Muyue Trading Company. Instead, he looked around to see if anyone was following Yu Qingqing. The people on the streets all had their own matters to attend to, so they didn't follow Yu Qingqing to the southern district. After a long time, Yu Qingqing returned to the Yu clan. Yi Qinghan finally withdrew his gaze. "Divine bird, you've been in the Heaven Chant Mansion for so long. You should know Zhang Yingshi better. With her personality, she shouldn't have let Yu Qingqing return. But now she did. What do you think she wants?" Yi Qinghan asked softly. The divine bird crawled out from the bloodline and flew to the stone table in the forest pavilion. It said lazily, "That little bitch, she won't do anything without benefits. She let Yu Qingqing return because she wants to find out why the heaven-suppressing palace was destroyed. This has nothing to do with the Heaven Chant Mansion, but she still interfered. This only means that she knows something is wrong with the southern district, but she didn't have the chance to do so." Yi Qinghan was shocked. The southern district's underground palace, the fewer people who knew about it, the better. If the Heaven Chant Mansion's people knew about it, then things would be bad. The underground palace's passageway was sealed. Only when Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan worked together could the mechanism be opened. But even so, Yi Qinghan was still uneasy. Yu family. Yu Qingqing arrived at the Yu family's courtyard. Looking at the huge courtyard, the surroundings were beautiful, every family had their own house and yard, and the children were cultivating together in the plaza. She felt even more grateful towards Yi Qinghan. "Aunt Qingqing is back. Aunt is here." A few young men were the first to notice Yu Qingqing, and they were all shocked by her face. Hua! The Yu family's courtyard was bustling with activity. A large group of elders rushed out. Everyone in the Yu family knew that if it weren't for Yu Qingqing's continuous contributions to the heaven-suppressing palace, the Yu family would no longer exist in this world. Yu Qingqing was so emotional that tears flowed down her cheeks. Many children knelt before her, expressing their gratitude. Yu Qingqing quickly helped the children up, and after greeting everyone in the Yu family, she was about to leave. The Yu family's clan master asked reluctantly, "Are you still going back now? Our Yu family owes you too much. If you can't, we will pay the ransom to get you back." Yu Qingqing was touched by the Yu family's attitude. She shook her head and said, "Second grandfather, I am not going back to the Heaven Chant Mansion. I am going to the Kuang Manor. The Kuang Manor's master is my benefactor. I am going to pay him a visit. I will not be coming back today." Upon hearing that she was going to the Kuang Manor, the Yu family understood that the heaven-suppressing palace's destruction was most likely related to Yu Qingqing. She was the one who asked someone to save the Yu family, and this made them even more grateful towards the Kuang Manor. "Go quickly. The Kuang Manor's master is a good man. He has taken good care of our Yu family," the Yu family's clan master quickly said. Chapter 1767. When Yu Qingqing heard the Yu family members praising Yi Qinghan for being a good person, she couldn't help but want to laugh. She thought to herself, "He's so bad. You guys just don't know." However, Yu Qingqing didn't say much. After bidding farewell to the Yu family members, she went straight to Kuang Mansion under the gaze of her family members. After returning to Kuang Mansion, Yu Qingqing went straight to the courtyard and boiled water to wash herself. Her tiredness was washed away and her aura became even more celestial. Her creamy skin was sparkling and translucent, emitting a treasure light that flowed on the surface of her body. She wore a white veil that covered half of her body. It was faintly discernible, adding to her charm. Yi Qinghan put down the book in his hand, and felt the vitality in his body draining away very quickly. The last time he was hit by the half-step Eternal Sovereign, he still hadn't recovered from it. As such, he didn't have much vitality left. Yu Qingqing was a virgin and had the Yin attribute. Her cultivation had reached the 7th level of the World Lord realm, and she was the strongest among the Heavens Chant women. Cultivating both Yin and Yang would help Yi Qinghan recover his vitality the most. Yi Qinghan wasn't a hypocritical moral bitch. He was a genuine and pure villain. How could he not eat the meat in front of him? Good person. My family is praising you for being a good person. Yu Qingqing covered her cherry lips, covering her upper body, and giggled softly. Yi Qinghan looked at the beauty in front of him, and his lips curled into an evil smile. He replied indifferently, "I don't deserve the title of a good person. However, you can be considered a good woman. Thanks for master's praise. This servant is the one who doesn't deserve it." Yu Qingqing smiled sweetly. She looked like a weak female slave that could make men impulsive. Even Yi Qinghan, who had a strong will, felt his heart ripple at this moment. The beauty in front of him was almost naked, but because of that transparent veil, he couldn't stop himself. Her delicate expression was perfect, and her voluptuous body didn't have any excess fat. She had curves in all the right places, and there wasn't a single flaw. Yi Qinghan stared at Yu Qingqing. She was incomparably shy and lowered her head, not daring to look at him directly. "Come and sit." Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand as he sat in the pavilion. Yu Qingqing walked gracefully, her live body moving to the rhythm. She turned slightly and reached out to grab Yi Qinghan's large hand. He pulled her into his embrace, and she sat on his lap. Yi Qinghan's large hand took advantage of the situation and ruthlessly squeezed. Lu Qingqing couldn't help but cry out softly. The boneless softness was like water, and it was even more comfortable than touching water. Yi Qinghan couldn't help but take a deep breath and clear away all distracting thoughts. After all, there were still many things he needed to figure out. Yi Qinghan hugged Lu Qingqing, his hands gently caressing her soft and fragrant body as he asked in a low voice, "Qingqing, didn't you feel like we were being followed all the way here?" Yu Qingqing was a little confused and she replied in a daze, "Master, no one was following me." Yi Qinghan frowned. He felt that something was amiss. But after searching the entire heaven-suppressing prefecture city, He couldn't find any traces of Zhang Yingshi or any other suspicious person. He had no choice but to give up. Yi Qinghan leaned against the stone table and put Lu Qingqing down. With a face full of enjoyment, he said, "This king wants to see if the number one beauty cultivated by the heavenly Chant Mansion has the ability to serve others can make me forget home. Yes, master. I will make sure that master is never willing to leave me again." Yu Qingqing pretended to cooperate and slowly knelt between Yi Qinghan's legs. Heaven Suppressing Prefecture City, Main City's prosperous district, Heaven Chant Mansion's branch. The Heaven Chant Mansion's branch master could also be considered a peerless beauty. Moreover, she was very mature and feminine, and her cultivation was not bad. But at this moment, when she saw a white-clothed woman flash into her room, her arrogant head immediately lowered. Heaven Chant Mansion's branch master, Xianyuan Rongyan, welcomes Lord Zhang. The beautiful lady knelt on one knee and said respectfully. The person who came was Zhang Yingshi. She was so majestic that even the branch master had to kneel before her. It seemed like she held a very high position in Heaven Chant Mansion, and she was hiding her strength. Zhang Yingshi looked down at Xianyuan Rongyan and said coldly, "Stand up and answer me. Have you completed the mission I gave you?" Xianyuan Rongyan quickly replied, "Lord Zhang, the South District is still a forbidden area. I tried to go in a few times but was almost discovered by the crazy prefecture's mansion lord. I bribed a few Le Clan's young disciples, but they did not dare to enter the forbidden area. So far, there has been no news." Zhang Yingshi snorted and frowned. Lord Fazhen is an older half-step eternal sovereign. He has stayed in the South District for so many years. I don't believe that there are no ghosts in the South District. Master is also interested in this place, but it belongs to the Sword Dao's eternal sacred ground. So, we must investigate it first. But after giving you the mission for so long, you still have no clue. This subordinate deserves to die. Please punish me." Xianyuan Rongyan knelt on one knee and said in fear, "All right. Since I am here, I will investigate this matter myself. Tell me, how did the heaven-suppressing prefecture's inner palace get destroyed? Who is the current crazy prefecture's mansion lord? What does he look like?" Zhang Yingshi turned to the window and looked down at the streets of heaven-suppressing prefecture. Half of Crazy Prefecture's territory could be seen clearly. The streets were bustling with activity. Yi Qinghan truly lived up to his name as the domain lord of a small city. He knew how to control his people well. Right now, all living beings in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city were extremely loyal to Kuang Manor, especially the ordinary villages. Xianyuan Rongyan recalled the battle that day and her body shivered. Her eyes were filled with shock. Lord Zhang, the crazy prefecture's mansion lord, has never shown his face. Now, whenever he appears, he wears a mask and carries a weapon wrapped in a special oilcloth. It looks like a sword, saber, or even a staff. I can't tell. He is 7 feet tall and less than 8 feet tall. He is one of the members who participated in the massacre of the heaven-suppressing prefecture's inner palace. His cultivation level is very high and Xianyuan Rongyan was lucky enough to see him in action. First, he fought a Realm Lord level 9 with his bare hands for half an incense's time. Then, he suddenly unleashed his full strength and killed the Realm Lord level 9 expert in one strike. Xianyuan Rongyan replied respectfully. Killing a Realm Lord level 9 consecrated in one strike. Cold light flashed across Zhang Yingshi's eyes. He felt a little different from Yi Qinghan. Although Yi Qinghan was strong, he was not as scary as Xianyuan Rongyan described him to be. Who is he? Zhang Yingshi furrowed her brows and pondered. She knew very well just how strong the heaven-suppressing palace's inner hall's consecrators were. Even if it was her, she wouldn't be able to kill them in one strike unless she released the seals in her body. Zhang Yingshi stared at Crazy Prefecture's courtyard and knocked on the window with his finger. He said seriously, The most important thing now is to find out the identity of the crazy prefecture's mansion lord. This mission is yours. I don't care how you do it, visit him personally or offer your body. As long as you can make him show his face, you will be rewarded, and I will personally ask the master for your reward. Xianyuan Rongyan didn't dare to reject, or rather, she was looking forward to it. She immediately stood up and said, "Thank you, Lord, for giving me the chance to redeem myself. I will not let you down." Chapter 1768. On the second day of Zhang Yingshi's arrival in the heaven-suppressing prefecture, Jian Shisan appeared in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city to congratulate the establishment of the crazed prefecture. He also represented the Sword Dao sect to grant the crazed prefecture official status, representing the legitimacy of the crazed prefecture. Only then did the various factions in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city dare to come and congratulate him openly. On the same day, the Medicine King Manor announced a partnership with the heaven-suppressing prefecture city to open the largest Medicine King pavilion. It could concoct any medicinal pellets below the 15th grade, and there was no limit. The price was also 10% cheaper than other places to attract adventurers. Jian Shisan looked at Yi Qinghan with a serious expression. He did not understand why Yi Qinghan would place this hidden city in front of everyone. Was he not afraid of exposing the underground palace? Yi Qinghan saw through Jian Shisan's worries and he smiled. The most dangerous place is the safest place. Who would have thought that such a huge eternal tomb would be hidden in a developed heaven-suppressing prefecture city? Hidden in the city. Jian Shisan pondered, and he seemed to have understood something. As long as we put it out in the open, no one will suspect us, not even the Sword Dao sect. Yi Qinghan explained. With that, Jian Shisan was enlightened and he nodded. That's right. But Yi Qinghan did not know that Zhang Yingshi was already suspicious. Furthermore, the Heaven Chant Mansion's lord had personally given the order. The layout of this place would not be hidden for long. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan quietly entered the Lu clan at night, and without alerting anyone, they directly entered the forbidden grounds at the back of the mountain. There was an additional forest of sword stones here, and they were arranged in an orderly manner, enveloping the entire mountain within, forming a huge maze formation called the Sword Forest Formation. The Sword Forest Formation also contained the universe-shifting formation, and if those who didn't know these two formations entered this place, they would definitely be trapped in the formation and would never be able to escape. The two of them entered and activated the mechanism. They then locked the mechanism from the inside and entered the underground palace. Just as Yi Qinghan and Sword 13 were cultivating peacefully, a black-robed old man with a wrinkled face stared at the heaven-suppressing city. He was the half-step eternal expert that was scared away by Sword 13 using the name of an eternal expert. A poisonous dart almost killed Sword 13 and a palm strike left Yi Qinghan powerless. Fazhen Demon Lord, this man was neither righteous nor evil. His cultivation base was monstrous. At this moment, he had yet to leave. He was merely trying to think of a way to reclaim this place. I can't expose myself at this stage. Otherwise, I won't be able to gain any benefit. Demon Reverend Fazhen muttered to himself. They couldn't attack head-on, they could only work together. After pondering for a few months, Lord Fazhen had also left this place but eventually returned to this place. Now, he finally understood. They didn't report it to the Sword Principal sect either. It's obvious that they want to take it for themselves. Kid, since that's the case, why can't we cooperate? Fazhen Demon Venerable sneered as he stroked the big black beast beside him, looking up from a high place. Howl, Big Black roared at the full moon, shaking the forest. At night, the heaven-suppressing prefecture city was still brightly lit. Every village was filled with festive lights. Without the burden of taxes, they were able to live a good life. While Zhang Yingshi and Xianyuan Rongyan were discussing, they suddenly turned their heads and looked out of the window. Uninvited guests had arrived in the city. Bounty Hunter's great tracking art, blessed Buddha temple's Saint Buddha attire. Xianyuan Rongyan was shocked. She didn't need to guess to know the identity of the person who used the great tracking art. As for the blessed Buddha temple's Saint Buddha attire, it was even more obvious. It's the Bounty Hunter headquarters' supreme trackers, Lai Wuhan and Zhou Tianwu. The two of them are the strongest among the bounty hunters. They are undefeatable existences below the half-step eternal sovereign level. As for the two Saint Buddhas, they are blessed Buddha temples Dipankara Immortal Buddha and Invincible Immortal Buddha. They are both half-step eternal sovereigns. Zhang Yingshi's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the four walking silently on the street. When Zhang Yingshi noticed the four of them, Fazhen Demon Venerable also saw them. He was surprised. Interesting, there are so many experts here. With so many of them working together, I might not be able to gain the upper hand. Fazhen Demon Venerable clenched his fist. His withered body was like an old tree that had been dead for thousands of years, emitting an aura of death. Heaven Chant Mansion's Zhang Yingshi, long time no see. Her target should be clear. She is here for me and the underground palace. As for the bounty hunter and the Saint Buddha, why are they here? Fazhen Demon Venerable frowned and mumbled to himself. As for the bounty hunter Muzun, he was also in the city. However, Fazhen Demon Venerable ignored such existences. These people were of no threat to him, and he could kill them with a wave of his hand. Some of the spies were stealthily evading the bounty hunter's Saint Buddha, and the bounty hunter's Saint Buddha entered an inn and quickly left. On the second day, Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan left the underground palace and returned to the manor. They saw the spies kneeling on the ground. Lord Castellan, 4 powerful people came to the city last night. 2 of them were trackers from the bounty hunter headquarters, and the other 2 were dressed as Buddhas from the blessed Buddha temple. Their cultivations were too strong. I only dared to watch them enter a place called Happy Inn. The spies said respectfully. Yi Qinghan's heart shrank. He didn't expect the experts from Blessed Buddha Temple and the bounty hunter's Saint Buddha Temple to arrive before the people from hell appeared. Yi Qinghan waved his hand to dismiss the spies and sat with Jian Shisan in the pavilion. Jian Shisan frowned and said, "The great tracking art. There are only 4 people in the bounty hunter's Saint Buddha Temple. They are Lai Wuhan, Zhou Tianwu, Luo Jia and Jing Guang. Their great tracking art has reached the pinnacle of Sector Lord Level 9. In terms of speed, the 2 of us combined can't even catch up to one of them. There are 6 Saint Buddhas from Blessed Buddha Temple, but they are definitely the most terrifying existences. They are much stronger than Great Buddha Ranmya." "You mean my location has been exposed?" Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. Jian Shisan nodded confidently. "With their abilities, there's no way they're wrong. Since they've entered Heaven's suppressing city, it means that you're in the city. But don't worry, they're from the other sacred lands. They won't dare to attack the Sword Dao Eternal Sacred Lands official faction." "Who?" Yi Qinghan breathed out and said coldly, "I don't want to be entangled with them anymore, but they are still chasing after me. They are asking for death." Dong dong dong. Quang Manor's gate was knocked. The sound was low and carried with it a heavenly aura that pressured people's hearts. Jian Shisan and Yi Qinghan looked at each other in shock. The person knocking on the door must be a terrifying existence. Shwa! Yi Qinghan grabbed the dark gold rod while Jian Shisan also took out his natal divine sword. They quickly came to the front yard and looked at the gate cautiously. Chapter 1769. Yi Qinghan held the dark metal rod, which was coated with a layer of black liquid divine iron. The golden dark metal rod had turned pitch black. It had lost the majesty of a half-step eternal spirit artifact, but its combat power had not weakened. Jian Shisan looked at Yi Qinghan and held the divine sword in his right hand, which shone with a cold light. "Open the door!" Yi Qinghan waved his hand, and several guards standing at the side cautiously approached the door and opened it. Fazhen Demon Venerable was standing at the door with Big Black, looking at Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan with an evil smile. Hiss! Jian Shisan and Yi Qinghan looked at each other and couldn't help sucking in a breath of cold air. They didn't expect him to come back. Fazhen Demon Venerable's aura was extraordinary, forcing the guards to retreat. He entered Kuang Mansion with Big Black and locked the door with a wave of his hand. Do you want to talk alone, or do you want to fight with this old man? Fazhen Demon Venerable looked at Jian Shisan and Yi Qinghan with an evil smile and asked coldly. Fight? The two of them together couldn't match the sum of the other party's attacks. How could they fight? Yi Qinghan nodded and gestured with his hand. Senior, please enter the inner court. We have no grievances or enmity. We can discuss anything. Jian Shisan also didn't want to fight with this old thing. This was an existence on par with Sword Sovereign. Unless one was a half-step Eternal Sovereign, who would dare to fight with him? Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan were unprepared and walked in front to lead the way. Fazhen Demon Venerable didn't need to sneak an attack to kill the two of them. Moreover, Fazhen Demon Venerable didn't dare to kill Jian Shisan. If he provoked an Eternal Sovereign, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he had 10 lives. Kuang Mansion was empty, and there weren't many people living here. There were only a few reliable guards and maid. Yi Qinghan led Fazhen Demon Venerable into the main hall and bowed. Senior, please take a seat. Fazhen Demon Venerable unceremoniously sat on the main hall seat while Big Black stood guard outside the hall. Boom! Fazhen waved his hand and closed the door of the main hall. The room was brightly lit. Luminous pearls illuminated the room as though it was daytime. It was extremely beautiful. The landscape painting seemed to have been drawn from heaven and earth. One could even see the flowing waterfall. Lord Fazhen looked around the room and nodded. Not bad, much smarter than my dogs. If it was you two who helped me back then, the Sword Dao sect wouldn't have suspected the heaven-suppressing palace. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan sat in the lower seats, their eyes like torches, not daring to be careless in the slightest. Why don't the two of you introduce yourselves again? This old man wants to work with you. You can't possibly not know my name, right? Magic God asked as he leaned back in his chair. I am Yi Qinghan, a sacred elixir master of the Sword Dao sect's Holy Land. Yi Qinghan stood up and cupped his fist. Jian Shisan did not stand up and humphed. I am Jian Shisan, my teacher's 13th disciple. I believe I don't need to introduce myself who my teacher is, right? Naturally, there's no need for that. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Divine Demon Sovereign. I'm from the same era as your master. I'm only one era later than him. I've met all the Eternal Ones except for the Holy Emperor of the Central Plains, Divine Demon Sovereign said calmly. Yi Qinghan did not know of Fazhen Demon Venerable, but Jian Shisan, as the most favored disciple of the Holy Land, knew of Fazhen Demon Venerable. Other than losing to Eternal Ones, Fazhen Demon Venerable had never lost. When he was young, he fought with a few Eternal Ones. Although he lost, he was lucky enough to escape with his life. Clearly, this person's strength was even more terrifying than Lord Sword. Jian Shisan took a deep breath and his attitude changed. He stood up and bowed slightly. Shisan, please forgive me for not knowing you are Lord Fazhen Demon Venerable. Ha ha! You are a promising child. Fazhen Demon Venerable laughed wildly, causing the two's hair to stand on end. You have entered the underground palace, so you should know where it is. However, you didn't report it to the Sword Dao Eternal Saint Master. Either you have selfish motives or you are afraid that the Sword Dao Eternal Saint Master will silence you. Am I right? Fazhen Demon Venerable asked with a sinister smile. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan's breathing quickened as they clenched their weapons tightly. Being this old man's dog is better than being an Eternal One's disciple. As long as this old man has the secret method to kill an eternal one, I will grant you eternal ones. Consider it. Fazhen Demon Venerable said coldly. Impossible. Yi Qing Han and Jian Shisan stood up with their weapons in hand and glared at Fazhen Demon Venerable. Then are you courting death? Fazhen Demon Venerable's eyes flashed coldly as he threatened. Can you live if you kill us? You know the outcome, so you came to talk about cooperation with us. Since it's a cooperation, then be more sincere. Don't talk nonsense. Do you think this seat is afraid of death? You can try if you are not convinced. If you kill me, will Master take your head and offer it to me? Jian Shisan rebuked with disdain. Fazhen Demon Venerable's breath stagnated and the sneer on his lips gradually faded. Senior, we respect your strength, but can you not expose your intelligence? Right now, we have the upper hand. If you want to cooperate, you have to show the attitude of a collaborator. The two of us have nowhere else to go. At worst, both of us will suffer. We might die, but you will definitely die, Yi Qing Han replied coldly. Fazhen Demon Venerable's attitude was cold and his smile disappeared. Yi Qing Han and Jian Shisan weren't like Western Jintian's group. They could be easily tricked and enslaved. Asterisk clap clap clap. Asterisk Fazhen Demon Venerable clapped his hands and revealed an awkward smile. It seemed like he was appreciating and sneering at them. However, Yi Qing Han and Jian Shisan weren't afraid at all. Their eyes flashed fiercely. At most, they would fight. If they died, there would naturally be someone to avenge them. Moreover, they were sure that Fazhen Demon Venerable wouldn't dare to make a move. Otherwise, he would have killed them that day. You are smart people and know that this old man doesn't dare to kill you now. Forget it, this old man was just joking. Since it's a cooperation, this old man naturally won't mistreat you. I have studied this eternal tomb for a few years and have some experience. As long as you agree to let this old man comprehend it with you, I will impart my experience and some secret arts to you. Fazhen Demon Venerable said with a fake smile. Seeing Fazhen Demon Venerable's expression, Yi Qing Han licked his teeth and subconsciously revealed a sinister smile. Cooperation is not a problem. However, since Senior has something on us, you should have something on us as well, right? Yi Qing Han said evilly. Fazhen Demon Venerable's attitude turned cold again, and he said with disdain, "This old man is already very sincere. Don't make me angry. Otherwise, no one will benefit." Yi Qing Han harumphed. He knew that Fazhen Demon Venerable wouldn't dare to make a move, so he said, "You want to cooperate? No problem. Show me your sincerity. Kill the bounty hunter Great Tracker and 2 sacred Buddhas in the city. The door to cooperation is always open to you." You're crazy. Killing 4 experts of eternal sacred land in a row? Are you afraid that Heaven's Suppression City won't attract enough attention? Fazhen Demon Venerable rebuked. Chapter 1770. Fazhen Demon Ancestor was enraged. If he dared to offend other sacred grounds, why would he be afraid of Eternal Sword Tao sacred ground? However, with the 4 of them in the city, Yi Qing Han would feel as though he was being pricked by needles, unable to eat or sleep in peace. Yi Qing Han looked at Fazhen Demon Lord's angry face and smiled silently, as though he had never made any requests. Why don't you beat them up? After that, they will feel embarrassed and leave the city. Are you afraid you can't beat 4 Sector Lord Level 9 Pinnacle existences? The god bird wretchedly stretched its head and said. Fazhen Demon Ancestor glared coldly at the god bird. With his level of existence, even a Sector Lord Level 9 expert would have to be respectful when speaking to him. Since when was it the turn of a feathered beast to bully him like this? The divine bird shrank back and smiled flatteringly, not daring to say anything else. Yi Qing Han shrugged and said indifferently, "The divine bird is right. If you're afraid of offending the bounty hunters and blessed Buddha temple, You can just sneak up on them and humiliate them in front of everyone. Then, our cooperation will officially begin. Jian Shisan and Yi Qinghan were on the same side. Naturally, he had to help Yi Qinghan, so he nodded in agreement. Fazhen Demon Ancestor had no choice but to agree. Tomorrow, you can hold an event and gather everyone in the city. I'll play with them and they'll probably leave. Fazhen Demon Ancestor said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded in satisfaction. Fazhen Demon Ancestor groaned in dissatisfaction. A half-step Eternal Realm Peak expert had to lower his head to 2 juniors. This cooperation was a great humiliation. There's another piece of bad news. Heaven Chant Mansion's Zhang Yingshi has also arrived in Heaven Suppressing Prefecture City. She's currently in Heaven Chant Mansion's branch. Heaven Chant Mansion should know that something is happening in the city. I don't know how those stinky women knew I was in the underground palace. She's probably here for me. Fazhen Demon Ancestor said coldly. Yi Qinghan frowned. Zhang Yingshi was just a Peak Realm Lord Level 9 expert, similar to Hell's Dream Monarch. He said, her cultivation shouldn't be enough to make you wary, right? No, this is just her strength after the seal. The Eternal Sovereign of the Heavenly Chant Dojo once personally taught her for a period of time. Her cultivation can't be at the 9th level of the Sector Lord realm. She should have already stepped into the half-step Eternal Sovereign realm. Jian Shi said with certainty. No wonder. Yi Qinghan. Yu Qingqing was a Realm Lord Level 7 expert and a Zither expert. Yet, she couldn't even notice someone following her. This meant the stalker's cultivation was to say Zhang Yingshi, a frog at the bottom of a well. You can't even see 1/10,000th of the true division of forces in the great world. On the surface, there are 20 eternal sacred lands in the vast eternal world, which means 20 eternal sacred lords. However, there are definitely more than 20 eternal sovereigns. In the Holy Empire of the Central Earth, there are 81 cities in the 9 divine prefectures. The 9 divine prefectures represent the 9 eternal princes and 81 half-step eternal sovereigns. Each of them controls endless mountains and rivers. The 9 divine prefectures are equivalent to the 9 sacred lands. The territory of each divine prefecture is larger than that of the eternal sacred lands of the Sword Tao and has more resources. We are considered a remote place. Since the Heaven Chant Mansion can establish itself in the Holy Empire of the Central Earth and the Sacred Lord of the Holy Empire didn't expel it, it shows its strength. Even a nominal disciple like Zhang Yingshi can be compared with Sword Sovereign Lord. Yi Qinghan's eyes twitched. He was shocked by the power of the Holy Empire of the Central Earth. Seeing the shocked expressions on the two of them, Lord Fazhen could not help but proudly explain, "This Lord will explain the true eternal world to your master." Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan couldn't help but feel excited. The eternal world was vast and boundless. Half-step eternal sovereigns could only see a small part of it. An existence like Lord Fazhen must have a thorough understanding of the great world and wouldn't lose to the Sword Tao Sacred Lord. The Central Earth Saint Empire is the center of the great world. It is rich in resources and vast in size. As mentioned before, there are a total of 9 great divine palaces and 81 cities. The 9 great divine palaces are guarded by the 9 great disciples of the Saint Lord of the Saint Empire. Each divine palace has 9 saint cities and each of them is extremely huge. The city lords are all peak half-step eternal sovereigns. Under the saint cities, there are countless cities like the heaven-suppressing prefecture city. Now, do you understand how big the Central Earth Saint Empire is? Lord Fazhen asked calmly. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan nodded. The eternal sovereigns obviously wouldn't tell them this. As long as the Sacred Lord of the Holy Empire is alive, the Holy Empire will never collapse. It will always be the strongest power in the great world. Fazhen gazed at the east longingly, wanting to take it for himself. However, That was only a fool's dream. In the past, an eternal being only said one wrong sentence and was imprisoned in the hell reincarnation by the Middle-earth Holy Empire. Until now, there was no news about him. Lord Fazhen wasn't the only one who yearned for such a place. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan also yearned for it. Let me tell you more about the other eternal sacred lands. Let's not talk about the eternal Sword Dao sacred ground. To the west of it is the blessed Buddha temple. You should know about it. What you don't know is that to the northwest of the blessed Buddha temple, there is another eternal sacred ground called the Oshi sacred ground. It is infinitely far away from here. Even for me, it would take me tens of thousands of years to make a round trip. The Oshi sacred ground is a great sacred ground formed by 3 sacred grounds. It is equivalent to the Central Earth Holy Empire. To the east of the eternal Sword Dao sacred ground is the Saint Spirit Trading Company. They rarely participate in wars and have dealings with the other sacred grounds. They don't have any eternal sovereigns, but no one dares to offend them because they are on good terms with the sacred lords of the other sacred grounds. Yi Qinghan listened attentively. Every word Lord Fazhen said was useful to him. To the north of the eternal sacred land of Sword Dao is an endless stretch of mountains and rivers belonging to the Battle Tribe, also known as the Battle Tribe. The people there are extremely tough, so you should avoid them. You shouldn't offend any of them. None of them are easy to deal with. If you offend one, a large group of them will follow. If the small ones can't beat the big ones will come. If the big ones can't beat the big ones, the old ones will come in a group. If the old ones can't beat the Eternal Realm expert, they'll come out. Lord Fazhen frowned at the mention of the Battle Tribe. It seemed that he had suffered a loss. Jian Shisan nodded. The Sword Dao Sacred Lord had specifically warned against the Battle Tribe. It was best not to provoke them if possible. There is another sacred ground called Enlightened True Monarch's Sacred Ground. It is remote and focuses on the ultimate martial Dao realm. However, not many people are willing to go there because even birds don't want to shit there. However, there are cold sacred herbs there that can reverse life and death. It is very coveted. Lord Fazhen explained faintly. Yi Qinghan didn't know that Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing had reincarnated in Enlightened True Monarch's sacred ground. Chapter 1771. That night, Lord Fazhen explained the true situation of the 20 sacred lands. Yi Qinghan had a general understanding of eternal world. He couldn't help but marvel at how big this world was. Sword Shisan was a native, but he didn't know much about the sacred lands Sword Dao. Those who ventured out to temper themselves were either powerless or half-step eternal experts. No one knew if they'd be able to survive if they ventured out. In the eternal sacred land of Sword Dao, Jian Shisan was like a holy son. But outside the sacred land, he was nothing. Lord Fazhen could kill him at will. Even an eternal expert couldn't find out who killed him. After a night, the 3 came to an agreement. After dealing with the experts of the 2 sacred lands, they officially cooperated. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan didn't want to cooperate with this old monster, but he was too strong. Now that he had something on them, they had no choice but to cooperate. After Lord Fazhen left, Jian Shisan looked worried. He whispered, "This old thing is too old. Cooperating with him is like asking a tiger for its skin." Yi Qinghan sighed. "Do we have any other way? He needs our help now. When the time comes, we can use his enlightenment to improve ourselves. He hasn't comprehended anything after so many years. I think he won't be able to break through in a short time. We are young and have potential. Maybe we can reach half-step eternal realm in advance. When we join forces, he won't be able to kill us instantly." Jian Shisan was helpless. At this point, they had no choice but to cooperate. Yi Qinghan stood up slowly. His slender body exuded a powerful aura. However, he was still lacking qi. He had to find the Dao fruit of reincarnation soon. Let's leave the mansion. I think Dipamkara and Invincible Buddha will appear and be humiliated by Lord Fazhen. They won't have the face to stay here anymore, Jian Shursan suggested. Yi Qinghan nodded. He stepped out of the courtyard and went straight to the gate. The two walked side by side. Yi Qinghan only wore a mask. Burned Mia and Invincible Buddha would definitely recognize him. As soon as the two appeared, half of Heaven's suppressing city was stirred. Jian Shursan was the third-generation chief disciple of Sword Dao sect. He was on the same level as a holy son. It was hard for him not to prosper. Countless experts and shop owners came to offer gifts to Jian Shursan and Yi Qinghan. Jian Shursan and Yi Qinghan both rejected the gift. They came to the central plaza of Heaven's suppressing city and Heaven's suppressing city. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Jian Shursan, represent the Sword Dao sacred ground to announce that the Heaven's suppressing prefecture city's taxes will be reduced by 30%. After all, City Lord Yi has already reduced the taxes for most of you. We, the Sword Dao sacred ground, empathize with the people and understand City Lord Ye's efforts. Hence, we are willing to share some of the burden with him. I hope that you all can work together and build the heaven-suppressing prefecture city into a prosperous area. Lord 13 and City Lord Yi were good people. The Holy Land was immortal. Long live the Kuang Manor. The head of the Lu clan took the lead and shouted, "Long live Insane Manor." The sound waves shook the heavens and reverberated through the vast sky. Invincible Buddha and Dipankara Immortal Buddha stood far away. They stared at the two on the plaza. They wore kasaya and looked very majestic. They exuded Buddha light and Buddha will. The two squinted their eyes at Yi Qinghan and frowned. Is he Yi Qinghan? Yes, he is. We have been tracking him for so many years. We are very familiar with his aura. At this time, the two trackers walked over and answered confidently. Dipankara Immortal Buddha was worried. He sighed, Amitba. Yi Qinghan is the official city lord of the Sword Dao sacred ground. If we attack him, we will offend the Sword Dao sacred ground. If a war breaks out, we will be the ones to suffer. Even Zhou Tianwu and Lai Wuhan, who were great trackers, were somewhat dissatisfied. They were all at the same level, so who was he pretending to be benevolent for? Our mission is to help you find Yi Qinghan. We've already taken the bounty. As for the matter of capturing him and that lowly bird, that's your business. I won't interfere. Lai Wuhan coldly said. The two immortal Buddhas were speechless. Their old faces did not change. They were extremely shameless. At this time, two young girls walked past the four. They were about to go to the plaza to see Sword 13 and the City Lord. They hoped to make a good impression on either of them. Then their family would prosper. Fazhen Demon Venerable retracted his light and flicked his finger. A strand of chi approached Undefeatable Immortal Buddha. Undefeatable Immortal Buddha instinctively raised his hand to block, but Fazhen Demon Venerable threw out a dirty cloth that hit Undefeatable Immortal Buddha's hand. But the cloth was controlled to the extreme, and Fazhen Demon Venerable threw it away. Slap! Invincible Buddha's slap did not catch the cloth. Instead, it hit the butt of one of the girls. The girl screamed. Her voice was ear-piercing, startling many in the plaza. You two old baldies. You look like holy monks. How can you be so shameless? Touching our young miss but... A servant girl around 17 or 18 years old shouted at Invincible Immortal Buddha. The beautiful girl was dressed in white, but there was a clear handprint on her butt. Her butt burned with pain and humiliation. She was shaking with anger as she glared at Invincible Immortal Buddha. You pervert monk, how dare you molest a girl in front of everyone? I'm still a virgin, how can I face others in the future? The beautiful woman lost control of her emotions for a moment and screamed miserably as if she had been stripped naked and humiliated. Invincible Buddha's face reddened. He looked at his hand. There was something dirty on the girl's butt. The evidence was irrefutable. Amitabha, I did not do it on purpose. Invincible Buddha hurriedly explained. You shameless, lecherous monk. Could it be that my young miss deliberately pulled your hand and hit you? Quick, someone come, City Lord. 13th Saint's son. Come and uphold justice for us. The servant girl was a shrew. Now that she had something on her, she screamed even louder. Die. Pa. Invincible, immortal Buddha flew into a rage. He slapped the maidservant, sending her spinning in circles. The handprint on her face was clearly visible, covered in snow. Ah, help! The young miss was stunned and screamed even louder. Hua! Hundreds of people gathered. They looked at the handprint on the beautiful woman's butt and the handprint on the maidservant's face. It was clearly a person's hand. They pointed at invincible immortal Buddha and began to discuss. So the blessed Buddha temple is full of perverted monks. Look at the two of them, and how could they do something so filthy? As the saying goes, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Seems like the blessed Buddha temple is also full of perverted monks. That's right. The evidence is clear and they still want to silence us. Disgusting. Perverted monks. Are they trying to bully the heaven-suppressing prefecture city? Mocking voices echoed in the plaza. Invincible Buddha and Dipankara immortal Buddha's faces turned green. The two great trackers were even more furious. They looked at the two immortal Buddhas in disdain and said angrily, I didn't expect you two to be like this. What bullshit, blessed Buddha temple immortal Buddhas. It's embarrassing to be with you two. Our mission is complete and we will take our leave now. Many said they could not recharge. Those who could not recharge could log out and log in again. Then they could recharge. Chapter 1772. Lai Wuhan and Zhou Tianwu were grandmasters. How could they stand being stared at like this? Even if they needed women, they shouldn't be grabbing someone's butt in public. The two flew into a rage and left, leaving the two immortal Buddhas behind. Amitabha, my Buddha is merciful. I definitely did not do this. Invincible immortal Buddha explained angrily. Bah! Merciful Buddha? You're the one who's perverted. Perverted monk, you're shameless. Some youths took advantage of their numbers and Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan's arrival. They cursed. Yeah, we have evidence and witnesses. You still have the face to deny it. Countless people followed suit. Fazhen and Demon Venerable stood in the crowd and added fuel to the fire. As the saying goes, there's strength in numbers. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan stood in front of the crowd with their arms crossed, their faces full of disdain and ridicule. Holy monks, don't you think you're shameless enough to throw your face in my sword holy ground? Even if everyone knows that blessed Buddha temple is a beast with a human face, you should still leave some of your most basic pretense. Jian Shisan mocked. You! Invincible immortal Buddha glared at Jian Shisan but didn't know how to argue. What about me? The 6 immortal Buddhas of blessed Buddha temple are all like this. I'm sure everyone knows what kind of people blessed Buddha temple is. My sword holy ground does not welcome you. Leave or I'll force you to leave. Jian Shisan interrupted invincible immortal Buddha angrily. I was framed. Invincible immortal Buddha explained angrily. Kiki. Someone used your hand to touch this fairy's butt? You're a grandmaster, but you don't dare to admit it. No wonder blessed Buddha temple pretends to be benevolent and righteous, but people say they're all thieves. Today I've seen it for myself. Jian Shisan's tongue was as sharp as a sword. No one could stop him. Invincible immortal Buddha and Dipankara immortal Buddha were red in the face. That's right, they're too shameless. I didn't believe it when I heard people say that the blessed Buddha temple's sacred ground was so unbearable. Now I understand. Look at those hateful fingerprints. How can a girl marry in the future? What a pity! Hearing the discussions and pitiful voices of the crowd, The beautiful woman immediately burst into tears. She wanted to die. Now, even her family's reputation had been lost. Lord 13th Holy Son, Lord Yi, you must seek justice for this weak woman. How am I supposed to live in the future? The beautiful woman cried bitterly as if she had really been defiled. Yi Qinghan carried the dark gold rod on his back and wore a mask made of human skin. His eyes flashed like lightning as he stared at the two monks and questioned coldly, "Two saint monks, the two of you are worse than beasts. Shouldn't you give me, the heaven-suppressing prefecture city, and this lady a reasonable explanation for your actions? Yi Qinghan, you must have framed this Buddha. You are a fugitive. How dare you? First, you blasphemed our Buddha Lord, and now, you slandered our blessed Buddha temple's reputation. This is unforgivable." Invincible Divine Buddha roared. "This blessed Buddha temple is too shameless. How dare they frame our city lord?" He was speaking in the middle of the plaza, far away from here. "How dare they lie through their teeth?" A voice filled with disdain and anger sounded in the plaza, spreading clearly across the entire plaza. The crowd on the square was agitated, cursing and scolding endlessly. All of them were cursing blessed Buddha temple. Who is this expert? Dipankara Divine Buddha's eyes flashed and he clasped his palms together. Buddhist rays shot up into the sky and pressured everyone to back off. What's wrong? You can't blame our city lord and now you want to blame this expert? Today, our heaven-suppressing prefecture city has finally seen the true face of the blessed Buddha temple. I have recorded everything that happened today with the image stone so that the world can see the true faces of the blessed Buddha temple's monk. That voice once again drifted over. It was unknown where his true location was. How strong was Fazhen Demon Venerable? It was easy for him to toy with two sacred monks. The two immortal Buddhas looked at the crowd pointing and cursing. Their faces turned purple and they didn't look human at all. They glared at Yi Qinghan with murderous intent in their eyes. Yi Qinghan's expression did not change and he transmitted his voice to the two sacred Buddhas. He sneered, "You better stop now or I will make you suffer. This is the eternal sword Tao's sacred ground, not your blessed Buddha temple. You can do whatever you want here. Humiliating women is a joke that only the blessed Buddha temple and despicable fools can do." Invincible Divine Buddha was so angry that he lost his mind. He wanted to kill Yi Qinghan right away, but Dipankara Divine Buddha was still rational and he stopped Invincible Divine Buddha. This is the eternal sword Tao's sacred ground's main city. Attacking the city lord and the saint child in the city is the same as declaring war against the sword Tao sect. We cannot afford to be blamed for starting a war between the two sacred grounds. Dipankara Divine Buddha warned. Invincible Divine Buddha was so angry that his face turned purple and his hands trembled. He almost lost his grip on his staff. "Let's go," Dipankara Divine Buddha whispered. "Go?" Could this be considered as the matter being exposed, turning into anger out of humiliation and wanting to leave? You ruined a good girl's virginity. Shouldn't you give a reasonable compensation? Jian Shisan asked coldly. "That's right. She is my subject. If I don't give her a reasonable explanation, how can I convince my people in the future?" Yi Qinghan scolded coldly. "Compensation. Compensation. Apologize. Apologize." Fazhen Demon Venerable once again led the experts to add to the atmosphere. Burning Lamp and Invincible's faces were burning with pain. It was like they had been slapped countless times. "Humph. There are 300,000 strands of money in this ring. It should be enough to make up for this girl's reputation, right?" Invincible Divine Buddha threw out a storage ring and roared angrily. Yi Qinghan took the ring and scanned it. There were indeed 300,000 strands of faith money. He immediately said, "Look, Invincible Divine Buddha was forced by everyone to admit that he's done something immoral. He's probably a lamb who has realized his mistake and repented sincerely. I'm sure the Buddha Lord will forgive him. Everyone, disperse and let them pray to the Buddha Lord. Whoosh! Everyone opened up a path and looked at the two of them with disdain in their eyes. The two didn't have the face to stay. They turned and fled the square. The two immortal Buddhas trembled with anger, but there was nothing they could do to Yi Qinghan. Zhang Yingshi stood at the Heavens Chant building branch, looking at the square. Her lips curled into a smile. Her voluptuous body emitted a powerful aura, but it didn't dissipate. Other than Fazhen Demon Venerable, even the two immortal Buddhas didn't notice her. So Fazhen Demon Venerable and Yi Qinghan are together again. Are they going to work together? Zhang Yingshi murmured. Chapter 1773. The two divine Buddhas ran away in embarrassment, but before they could even leave the heaven-suppressing city, invincible divine Buddha's deeds had already spread across half of the sacred ground. Furthermore, the news was spreading at an extremely fast speed, causing invincible divine Buddha's reputation to plummet. Blessed Buddha Temple's reputation was once again suppressed, and when people mentioned Blessed Buddha Temple, they were filled with disgust and disdain. In the heaven-suppressing city's plaza, Yi Qinghan handed over invincible divine Buddha's storage ring to the beautiful lady and gave her 10,000 strands of wealth as compensation for her loss. After some investigation, Jian Shisan found out that she was the second lady of the Feng clan and even gave her a decent secret art. The Feng clan benefited from this disaster. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan left with a smile on their faces. With this crisis resolved, invincible divine Buddha would no longer have the face to come back to the heaven-suppressing city. Back in Kuang Manor, Fazhen Demon Lord's face was gloomy. Although he was neither righteous nor evil, he had never done something so despicable. Now that he had tarnished Blessed Buddha Temple's reputation, even the Lord of Blessed Buddha would come after him personally. Senior, please don't be angry. This is something that only the heavens, earth, you and the two of us know. Yi Qinghan smiled. Fazhen Demon Lord sneered coldly. Zhang Yingshi knows too. Yi Qinghan was puzzled. How strong was this Zhang Yingshi to make Fazhen Demon Lord so wary? She was just a woman and he despised her from the bottom of his heart. He then said, Senior, don't worry. I'll help you deal with Zhang Yingshi. Fazhen Demon Lord sneered in disdain. How could someone like Zhang Yingshi be easily dealt with by an ant? Yi Qinghan did not explain further. He thought about it and concluded that the most important thing right now was to find the reincarnation Tao fruit and concoct a Tier 15 longevity pellet. This was to save his life. Without the longevity pellet, he wouldn't have much time left. No matter how many divine treasures there were in the underground palace, he wouldn't be able to enjoy them. Tao friends, I need the reincarnation Tao fruit urgently. Do you have any way to get it? If you can get it, I'm willing to give you a longevity pill. Yi Qinghan said with certainty, You know that I can restore my life force. As long as you provide me with the pill formula, I can definitely refine Tier 15 God pills. Moreover, they will all be of high grade. What I need is a 16-grade divine pill. A sacred pill master like you is nothing in my eyes. Fazhen Demon Ancestor replied in disdain. Sword 13 needed a Tier 15 divine pellet, and he needed it very much. How about this? I'll use the name of the Sword Tao sect to discuss with the people of the Sacred Spirit Trading Company and see if I can purchase the reincarnation Tao fruit. Jian Shisan suggested. There was no Saint Spirit Trading Firm branch in the heaven-suppressing prefecture city, but there was one in the Fire Beacon City because the Alchemist Association headquarters was located in the Fire Beacon City. Let's make a trip to Fire Beacon City, Yi Qinghan said firmly. Fazhen Demon Ancestor immediately rejected. No, I've already completed the task you gave me. I want to enter the underground palace to cultivate. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan smiled at each other and replied calmly, Senior. If you can pass through the sword forest array, then go ahead. If you're afraid of alerting Zhang Ingshi, then bear with it and come with us to Fire Beacon City. Fazhen Demon Ancestor was exasperated, but there was nothing he could do. Time is just a concept to us. You're not someone who's nearing the end of your life, so why are you in such a hurry? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Gotcha! Fazhen Demon Ancestor's anger burned as he stared at Yi Qinghan's handsome face. He really wanted to smash his head into pieces. Yi Qinghan did not look away, showing no signs of fear as he stared straight at Fazhen Demon Ancestor. Damn it, I've sinned. I actually know you two bastards. Fazhen Demon Ancestor cursed and flicked his sleeves. Let's go to Fire Beacon City. What are you waiting for? Yi Qinghan instantly laughed. He did not even bother to wear his bamboo hat and just walked out. The three of them, one in front and one behind, headed straight for the transportation array outside the city. Zhang Ingshi was surprised to see the three of them leave the city. He thought to himself, Jianshi-san and Yi Qinghan might not know that I'm in the city, but Fazhen Demon Ancestor definitely knows. Why did they give up on guarding the prefecture city? Where are they going? Rongyan. Go to the mountain behind the Lu clan in the south of the city, and see what's there. Don't alert them. I'll follow them. Zhang Ingshi said softly. Yes, I'll definitely complete the task. Xianyuan Rongyan bowed and replied. Whoosh! Zhang Ingshi stepped out of the room and chased after them openly. He chased them all the way to the city gate and met them calmly. Where are the three of you going? Zhang Ingshi asked with a smile. Not many people could resist the smile of a woman who was so charming that it made men's bones itch. Even Jianshi-san was slightly startled. Fazhen Demon Ancestor was still on guard, but Yi Qinghan had seen Zhang Ingshi before and naturally did not have much of a reaction. He smiled and replied, So it's Dojo Master Zhang. Long time no see. We're going to Fire Beacon City. Do you want to follow us? What a coincidence. I'm also going to Fire Beacon City. If you don't mind me being a burden, why don't you bring me along? Zhang Ingshi said indifferently. Hey beauty, long time no see. The divine bird climbed out of Yi Qinghan's embrace and looked at Zhang Ingshi with a wretched expression. Zhang Ingshi looked at the divine bird and his mouth twitched. His jade-like fingers twitched, but he held himself back in the end. I left in a hurry last time and didn't have time to greet you. Please don't be angry. The divine bird's wretched appearance was unknown whether it was purposely trying to anger Zhang Ingshi or really trying to persuade him. But Zhang Ingshi felt that the divine bird was purposely provoking him. He was the dojo master of Heaven's Chant Dojo, who controlled all the experts in Blessed Buddha Temple. He was actually toyed with by the divine bird and even slipped away right under his nose without him knowing. It actually dared to bring up the matter from last time. What a loyal and courageous divine pet. I've finally seen it. Zhang Ingshi gritted his teeth and said word by word. Ha ha ha, Dojo Master has good eyesight. Only you can understand me. As expected of the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. The divine bird laughed wildly and accepted the praise without hesitation. However, it did not know how angry Zhang Ingshi was. Jianshi-san and Fazhen Demon Ancestor looked at the divine bird with disdain. Could it not tell that Zhang Ingshi was mocking it? Yi Qinghan wiped his sweat and was a bit embarrassed. The divine bird's words, as expected of the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Who knows how many women it had said this to? Zhang Ingshi's eyes flashed with flames. In the end, he loosened his clenched fist. If he took the divine bird seriously, he would be angered to death. Seniors, you don't understand this divine bird. This divine bird is definitely the strongest divine pet in the world. I'm not only a wise almighty, but also a little expert in finding treasures. You will like me after spending some time with me. The divine bird was extremely shameless as it boasted shamelessly. Cough cough. Let's go first. Jian Shi-san was embarrassed by the divine bird's shamelessness, not to mention Zhang Yingshi's anger. Chapter 1774. The divine bird had infuriated Zhang Yingshi, but the divine bird was slow to realize it. It stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder with a smug look. Yi Qinghan looked at Zhang Yingshi's undulating breasts and felt embarrassed. He quickly stopped the divine bird from speaking any further. The four of them then headed towards the teleportation array. Fire Beacon City. Countless merchant clans and sects rose up. Many small cities were built in Fire Beacon City. The villages near the main city were also developed. However, as Fire Beacon City developed, there were more and more experts. There were even people who wanted to take over the city lord's seat. There was no choice. Fire Beacon City didn't have any experts. The siblings, Qin Xianxian and Qin Xianluo, couldn't suppress the various chiefs. It had been a few months, and they couldn't even collect a single consecration. The soldiers they sent were actually beaten back. When the major factions saw this, they all followed suit. This caused Fire Beacon City to not only lose its glory, but also decline. In Fire Beacon City's main city, some merchant clans couldn't hold on any longer. Many people stopped paying consecration and even took the lead to create a ruckus. In the Qin clan, Qin Xianluo and Qin Xianxian were extremely angry. They sat in the main hall and looked at the invitations. There were a total of 81 clans, and the contents of the invitations were surprisingly similar. It was obvious that they had a good discussion. This group of people is too much. They are clearly trying to take over the city lord's residence and make the 81 clans into a large group to control Fire Beacon City. They want to collect consecration and hand it over to the Sword Dao sacred ground. Instead, we have to hand over consecration to them. Outrageous! Qin Xianluo smashed all the invitations and roared, "If grandfather was still alive, who would dare to treat our Fire Beacon City like this?" Qin Xianxian looked at the contents of the invitations and was so angry that he couldn't do anything. The Sword Dao sacred ground didn't care about the internal affairs of the main city. As long as the consecration was handed over, the survival of the fittest was the rule. Now that Fire Beacon City had declined, even though they won the Alchemist Association headquarters, it seemed like they were working for someone else. Call for a clan meeting and see if there is still a chance. If it doesn't work, I will ask Mr. for help. I don't believe they can overturn this place. Qin Xianxian rebuked. At this moment, the Qin clan's housekeeper walked over and said with a helpless expression, "City Lord, the representatives of the 81 forces have requested for you to hand over the ownership of the Fire Beacon City's land deed. They are currently waiting for you in the Juxian Pavilion." "You've gone too far." Qin Xian was so angry that her chest was trembling, and her jade-like hands were clenched tightly. "This old man will go with you. Back then, when my elder brother was still alive, they still had some friendship with me. I don't think they would be so ruthless and heartless. It's fine if they don't pay tribute, but seizing power is going too far." The grand elder of the Qin clan walked out. Qin Shuo. He was the strongest expert of the Qin clan, a sector lord level 8 expert. However, facing so many powers, he was ultimately too weak. He couldn't even deal with one power and could only rely on his face. Qin Xianxian and his sister had no choice but to try their best. The three of them quickly headed to the House of Worthies in the main city. Inside Juxian House, the leaders of the 81 forces were all gathered. Most of them were old powers of Fire Beacon City. Sects, clans, trading companies, alchemy pavilions, everything was present. Back then, when they followed Qin Fenghua to conquer the world, Qin Fenghua still took care of them. However, now that the tree had fallen, the monkeys would scatter. Now that Qin Fenghua is dead, do these brats of the Qin clan still want to rely on two immature children to lead us? They must hand over the control of Fire Beacon City. With our 81 forces working together, Fire Beacon City will definitely be glorious. The leader of the Wu clan, Wu Jingshuang, said domineeringly. That's right. Once we get the control, we only need to collect tribute and it will be enough to hand over to the sacred ground. Our 81 forces will be exempt from tribute and we will only get stronger. Our Fire Beacon City's glory days will be just around the corner. Another leader said confidently. Ha ha, the Qin clan managed to win over the Alchemist Association to Fire Beacon City. It can be considered meritorious to Fire Beacon City. As long as they are willing to cooperate, we will allow them to become the emperor of the city. After giving us some tribute, we will allow them to continue living in the city lord manor. Otherwise, don't blame this old man for being impolite. A burly man said coldly. The Juxian pavilion was in an uproar as discussions broke out. Everyone, how should we develop Fire Beacon City now that we have control over it? How should we collect the tribute? When the time comes, who will represent the 81 forces? Wu Jingshuang looked at the crowd with anticipation. It was obvious that he wanted to get his hands on the leader position. When the tiger is not in the mountain, the monkeys will be the king. However, with so many monkeys, who will be the leader? Who wouldn't be looking forward to it? They had yet to seize control of the city, and yet they were already fighting for power. They were just a bunch of mobs. Qin Xianxian, Qin Xianluo, and Qin Shuo arrived at the Juxian pavilion. When they saw the crowd discussing without restraint, they were furious. They pushed the door open and glared at the crowd. This Fire Beacon City still belongs to our Qin clan. Aren't you guys looking down on our Qin clan by dividing it so brazenly? Qin Xianluo questioned angrily. You little immature brat. Who allowed you to speak to your elders like this? Even if your grandfather Qin Fenghua is here, he will still have to give us some face. Wu Jingshuang slammed the table and stood up. My brother's body is still cold and you guys want to rebel. Are you worthy of the care that my brother has given you all these years? Qin Shuo asked angrily. Wu Jingshuang and the rest looked at Qin Shuo with disdain and sneered. If it wasn't for your brother, do you still have the right to stand here and talk to us? We would have confiscated the Qin clan long ago. Qin Xianxian looked around. He didn't expect that a force like the Shengling Trading Company wouldn't be willing to hand over the tribute. The branches of the other major forces were also present. With just these people, the Qin clan wouldn't be able to resist. Even if Yi Qinghan was here, he would only be able to watch. Brother Qin Shuo, nephew Xianluo, if you guys hand over the control of the city, we will definitely treat the Qin clan well. You guys know how the Qin clan controls Fire Beacon City now? Which force would be willing to submit to you? A square-faced elder asked sternly. Grandfather Jing, I didn't expect you to participate in the division of the Qin clan's forces. Back then, my grandfather took special care of you. Otherwise, how could the Jing clan have been so glorious for so many years? Qin Xianxian asked angrily. The situation is different now. This old man is grateful for Brother Fenghua's care. As long as you guys are willing to hand over the power, this old man dares to guarantee that no one will harm the Qin clan. Jing clan's head Jing Shizuan said solemnly. Everyone forced the issue. They didn't want to waste any more words with the Qin clan. They had to take down Fire Beacon City today. Yi Qinghan and the other three appeared outside Fire Beacon City. They stepped into the city side by side, and the guards didn't dare to stop them. Let's go straight to the Shengling Trading Company, Jian Shisan suggested. Yi Qinghan originally wanted to see Qin Xianxian, but he had to give up and went straight to the Shengling Trading Company branch. When they arrived at the Shengling Trading Company branch, Jian Shisan revealed his identity and asked to see the branch's leader. However, the news he received was that the trading company's leader was discussing something at the Juxian pavilion. The four couldn't be bothered to wait and went straight to the pavilion. Chapter 1775. Juxian Pavilion was booked by 81 factions and there were no guests. Yi Qinghan and the rest came to the entrance and saw the words "Closed for today" on the signboard. They acted as though they didn't see it and walked towards Juxian Pavilion. However, when they heard the crowd threatening the Qin siblings, Yi Qinghan's expression changed. He clenched his fist, and killing intent enveloped the entire Juxian Pavilion. Boom! Yi Qinghan kicked open the door and looked at the many experts in the hall surrounding the three from the Qin clan. They seemed to have lost their patience, especially Wu Jingshuang and the others. They slammed the table and shouted, intimidating Qin Xianluo and the others. They were very arrogant. But Yi Qinghan extended his hand and slapped Wu Jingshuang, sending him sprawling on the ground. Stand up! Yi Qinghan looked down at Wu Jingshuang. Wu Jingshuang's face was covered in blood and looked very terrifying. Wu Jingshuang was trembling with anger. He was a Sector Lord Level 8 expert and a clan head. Yet, he was slapped. You're courting death. Wu Jingshuang climbed up from the ground and was about to draw his sword to kill Yi Qinghan. But Yi Qinghan slapped again. This time, he used 30% of his strength. Wu Jingshuang's body was lifted off the ground and his head smashed into the ground. His face was burning with pain and he almost lost consciousness. Stand up! The killing intent in Yi Qinghan's eyes almost materialized. His cold voice carried an undefiable will. As long as Wu Jingshuang didn't stand up, he would definitely be killed on the spot. Wu Jingshuang finally understood that Yi Qinghan was an expert. He didn't even have the chance to draw his sword and was already on the ground. Looking at Yi Qinghan's cold eyes, his body trembled. He covered his face and looked at Yi Qinghan in confusion. He didn't recognize Yi Qinghan at all. After all, the wanted order in Blessed Buddha Temple's territory didn't affect the Sword Holy Land much. Almost no one recognized Yi Qinghan's identity. However, some recognized Sword 13. However, they were in the wrong and didn't dare to say anything. But Yi Qinghan slapped Wu Jingshuang's face again with an ear-piercing sound. Bang! Wu Jingshuang crashed headfirst into the ground, smashing the stone tiles into smithereens. This time, Yi Qinghan didn't let him stand up because he had only used half of his strength, directly knocking him unconscious. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Even the people from the Sacred Spirit Trading Company were enraged. Yi Qinghan looked up at the head of the Jing family, who was standing at the front, and gave him another slap. The scene was exactly the same. The speed of the slap didn't seem fast, but the head of the Jing family didn't have the slightest chance to resist. He was directly smashed to the ground. Stand up! Yi Qinghan used 30% of his strength. It was not enough to kill anyone, but the pain was bone-piercing. The patriarch of the Jing family was so scared that he lost control of his body. He knew that he would definitely be beaten if he stood up, so he simply curled up on the ground and pretended to be dead. Yi Qinghan sneered and stomped his foot on the ground. Qi gushed out from the ground and bounced the head of the Jing clan up. Rumble! Yi Qinghan's fist pierced through the void, creating flames in the short distance. Bang! Hua! Rumble! The patriarch of the Jing family was a Sector Lord Level 8 expert. He was directly sent out of the pavilion by this punch. The doors of the pavilion were shattered and his corpse landed on the main road, scaring the passers-by. One punch and a Sector Lord Level 8 expert died on the spot. Yi Qinghan's domineering aura soared into the heavens. He scanned the surroundings and sneered, "You can resist, but I dare to guarantee that no one will live." Rumble! Pa! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed like a bolt of lightning as he slapped the faces of the experts from the various major powers. None of the 80 experts were able to dodge, and they were all sent flying out of the Juxian pavilion. Under everyone's gazes, Yi Qinghan slapped them again. How does it feel to be bullied? Yi Qinghan was filled with domineering aura. His 7 chi tall body emitted the aura of a king. Even if he was barehanded, this group of people didn't dare to resist. Qin Xianluo didn't know Yi Qinghan, but Qin Xianxian had slept with Yi Qinghan for so many days. It was just that this was the first time he saw Yi Qinghan being so domineering. At this moment, he was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. Zhang Yingshi and Fashion's mouth twitched. They didn't understand why Yi Qinghan was so angry. If he was really angry, he could have just killed them. Why did he have to talk so much? However, Yi Qinghan didn't kill them because sometimes, beating them up was more terrifying than killing them. The only one who died now was the Jing family head, and that was because he didn't listen. Stand up. Yi Qinghan coldly scanned the 81 experts on the ground and said coldly, "What?" This time, no one dared to disobey. Even the Shengling Trading Company's leader got up quickly, afraid that Yi Qinghan would kill him with a single punch. "What?" Yi Qinghan grabbed a chair from the Juxian pavilion and sat down in front of everyone. He crossed his legs and raised the corner of his mouth. The evil smile on his face made the leaders of the 80 forces' hair stand on end. It's not that the Qin family doesn't have any experts. It's just that when the real experts make a move, what can you do even if all 81 of you join forces? Can you bully them? Yi Qinghan asked coldly. The person who had arrogantly seized power was beaten up the most. His face was bruised and swollen. Although he was surrounded by thousands of people, he didn't dare to show any anger. He could only lower his head and wait for Yi Qinghan's decision. Kneel down and apologize to the Qin family. I'll only say this once, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Qinghan used a unique method to return what he owed the Qin family. He made all the forces under Fire Beacon City not dare to provoke Fire Beacon City again. Although everyone was unwilling to kneel down, many of them saw that Jian Shisan's right hand was already on his sword hilt. They hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed to apologize. However, some of them didn't recognize Jian Shisan or Yi Qinghan. As the leader of a family, why should they kneel down? Could it be that they dared to kill so many leaders of the forces? Therefore, they stood proudly. However, since they chose to stand proudly, they had to choose to die proudly. Boom! Yi Qinghan's feet landed on the ground. His body was like lightning as he punched a leader who wasn't standing. That person watched as Yi Qinghan's fist landed on his head. Following that, he heard a boom and his consciousness disappeared. His vision turned black and even his soul was destroyed. His corpse fell limply to the ground. Bang! Those who didn't kneel were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. They prostrated themselves on the ground and didn't even dare to look at Yi Qinghan again. Domineering, domineering! Fazhen Demon Lord couldn't help but admire Yi Qinghan's method of punishment. Perhaps it was more effective than killing. Master! Qin Xianxian rushed forward and looked at Yi Qinghan with admiration. He was so excited that he wanted to shout, "Master!" Qin Xianluo and Qin Shua didn't know Yi Qinghan's true identity. They didn't expect that the person who helped the Qin family was related to the Qin family. They couldn't help but be excited. Yi Qinghan patted Qin Xuanxuan's head and said in a low voice, "I'm late. I've let you guys suffer. Master will avenge you." Yes, yes. Qin Xianxian thought about the grievances he had suffered these days and tears almost fell. Yi Qinghan looked at the leaders kneeling on the ground and said coldly, "Within 3 days, the offerings of the 80 families, except for the Shengling Trading Company, will be tenfold. If you're late for even a breath's time, I'll exterminate your entire family." Chapter 1776. Yi Qinghan couldn't afford to offend the sacred grounds, but could it be that he couldn't afford to offend the local powers? It would be amazing if they could produce a Sector Lord Level 9 expert. 81 families, the Jing family was already crippled. Other than the Saint Spirit Trading Company, the other 79 families didn't even have the courage to refute and nodded. The 70-plus experts bowed and retreated. Only the branch head of the Saint Spirit Trading Company didn't dare to move under the gaze of Yi Qinghan. What happened in Fire Beacon City has nothing to do with the Saint Spirit Trading Company, right? Your trading company actually forced a city lord to abdicate for a bit of tribute. Where is the decency? Yi Qinghan questioned coldly. The branch head had a face of guilt. It was unknown if it was real or fake, but on the surface Yi Qinghan didn't want to make things difficult for him. Furthermore, he still didn't know Yi Qinghan's identity. However, Sword 13 was following behind him, and the two behind him were even more terrifying. They probably weren't people to be trifled with. He didn't dare to use the name of the trading company to show off. Yes, Lord. I was muddle-headed and made a huge mistake. I will definitely make it up to the Qin family and help them grow stronger. Branch head Yun Zhongkong quickly bowed and replied. Sword 13 saw that Yun Zhongkong was still low profile and said, "You should recognize me. There are some things you should do and some things you shouldn't touch. Earning your money should be a good thing. Meddling in things you shouldn't meddle in will lead to death sooner or later. Do you understand?" Yun Zhongkong was sweating profusely. To be sent outside the sacred grounds as a branch head, he definitely wasn't a direct descendant of the family. If he was killed, the Saint Spirit Trading Company would turn a blind eye. Today, the trading company was in the wrong. Even if Sword 13 killed him, the trading company wouldn't become enemies with the sacred grounds. Many thanks, Lord 13, this old man knows his mistake. Yun Zhongkong fearfully replied. Since you know your mistake, I'll give you a chance to make up for it. Go inform the headquarters of the Saint Spirit Trading Company and help me purchase the reincarnation Dao fruit. I'll buy it for 30% more than the market price. Sword 13 transmitted. Yun Zhongkong heard this was a huge business deal. If he succeeded, it would be hard for him to not become rich. Thank you for your guidance, sir. This old man will definitely complete this mission. However, how many would you like to purchase? Yun Zhongkong hurriedly asked. Jian Shisan couldn't help but look at Yi Qinghan and ask in a serious voice, "How many do you need?" "The more the merrier. Also, give him the other ingredients for the long life pill. I need a lot of ingredients. On one hand, I'm afraid it will be wasted. On the other hand, there should be a lot of people who need it. I can use it to recruit some Sector Lord 9th level consecrators." Yi Qinghan transmitted. Jian Shisan nodded. He still remembered the list from last time, so he handed over the list of materials to Yun Zhongkong. He also gave him the list of materials for the True Cosmos pill. After all, he needed more True Cosmos pills if he wanted to become a half-step Eternal Sovereign. "I'll take as many of these materials as you buy. As for the deposit, I'll pay you 10 million strands of money first. I'll take the rest from the headquarters myself." Jian Shisan casually handed over a storage ring filled with wealth. Back then, when he raided the heaven-suppressing palace's treasury, he obtained countless resources and wealth. He gave a third of it to Lord Sword while the rest was split equally between Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan. Although it was only a third, it was enough for the two of them to squander for countless years. Although Yun Zhongkong had received a slap from Yi Qinghan when he received Sword 13's mission, he had already forgotten that money was the most important thing. Yun Zhongkong quickly left, using the teleportation array in Fire Beacon City to leave the city. Yi Qinghan remained in Fire Beacon City, waiting for the 70-plus gene worth of consecrators to return. As for the Zheng clan, he did not make things difficult for them and did not ask for any consecrators. The Zheng clan members kept the corpses and did not dare to make a scene. With Yi Qinghan in the Qin clan, the rest of the smaller factions and shops took the initiative to hand over the consecrators. They even handed over an extra portion as an apology, fearing that the Qin clan would punish them in the future. Qin Xianxian, Qin Xianluo and the other Qin clan masters prepared a table full of food and wine, inviting Yi Qinghan, Jian Shisan and the others. Zhang Yingshi was not in a hurry as he only wanted to see what Yi Qinghan, Jian Shisan, and the others were doing in Fire Beacon City. However, Fa Zhen Demon Lord was impatient and wanted to return as soon as possible. Thus, he had been sulking for the past few days, but there was nothing he could do about Yi Qinghan. The Qin clan members kept toasting while Fa Zhen Demon Lord hid at the side and drank his wine, unwilling to speak. Yi Qinghan was also pondering silently. There were too many people in Fire Beacon City, and the Qin clan didn't have any experts in charge. It was impossible for him to appear in Fire Beacon City so coincidentally every time. Qin Xianxian and Qin Xianluo were talented, but it was impossible for them to become a level 9 expert quickly. As for Qin Shuo, he was old and his potential had been exhausted. Even if he was at Sector Lord level 8, he wouldn't be able to become a level 9 expert anymore. Yi Qinghan sized up the Qin clan members and didn't find anyone who met his requirements. Jian Shisan could see Yi Qinghan's worries and transmitted, "If there's no other way, help them find a trustworthy consecrator to guard this place for us." Who? Yi Qinghan let out a breath of turbid air. He didn't know many experts in the sword's sacred ground and could only say, "I'll have to trouble Brother Shisan. After all, I'm ashamed to face those clans. If Brother Shisan is willing to help, move the Yu clan and the other clans to Fire Beacon City and exchange their empty territories with the nearby cities. Let them gather together and we'll be able to do the same." Jian Shisan nodded and said calmly, "Don't worry, when we reach the heaven-suppressing city, I'll send someone back to the sacred ground to make the arrangements." Yi Qinghan finally let out a breath of relief. With a strong force behind him, it would be much easier. On the 4th day, Yi Qinghan, Jian Shisan and the others finally returned to the heaven-suppressing city. Once they entered the city, Zhang Yingshi returned to Heaven Chant Inn and was shocked to find that Xianyuan Rongyan had yet to return after completing her mission. Yi Qinghan, Jian Shisan, and Demon Venerable Fa Zhen arrived at the forbidden area in the backyard of the Yu clan. When they found Xianyuan Rongyan trapped in the Great Formation, a hint of murderous intent flashed through their eyes. However, at this moment, Zhang Yingshi forcefully barged into the forbidden area. The 5 of them drew their swords and bows, showing signs of wanting to start a massacre at the slightest disagreement. Yi Qinghan, Demon Lord, Jian Shisan, Xianyuan Rongyan only accidentally barged into the forbidden ground. "There's no need to kill, right?" Zhang Yingshi asked solemnly. "Accidentally barged into the forbidden ground? This is the Yu clan's back mountain, why would she come here for no reason?" Yi Qinghan asked solemnly. Xianyuan Rongyan's face turned pale. These 3 days, she was quite frightened. A Realm Lord level 9 expert couldn't even break through the sword stone forest. Instead, she was injured every time and was trapped for 3 days. She was already prepared to die. I was just casually strolling around and saw a stone forest here, so I barged in out of curiosity," Xianyuan Rongyan said in shock. Shisan and Demon Lord's killing intent surged, and he didn't want to take the risk. Xianyuan Rongyan had to die. At most, he would drag Zhang Yingshi in as well. He guessed that she wouldn't dare to spread the news of the Eternal Tomb. But Xianyuan Rongyan might not. Xianyuan Rongyan kept retreating until she was behind Zhang Yingshi. She looked at the 3 people with killing intent and her heart felt uneasy. "Dojo Master Zhang, kill her and we will share the news," Yi Qinghan said firmly. "Impossible. She is my subordinate. If she doesn't betray me, I will not kill her," Zhang Yingshi rejected firmly. "In our hands, you won't be able to protect her," Shisan Demon Lord said coldly. The seal in Zhang Yingshi's body slowly dissipated and his aura grew stronger. If it wasn't for the sword forest array, the entire heaven-suppressing prefecture city could sense it. "But you won't be able to kill me. You came here sneakily and offended me. You won't be able to escape," Zhang Yingshi threatened. Chapter 1777. Zhang Yingshi didn't budge an inch. There were 3 demon venerables and their strength couldn't be underestimated. If she couldn't protect Xianyuan Rongyan, she would be even weaker. Therefore, it was impossible to kill Xianyuan Rongyan. Demon Venerables was still wary of Zhang Yingshi and didn't want to clash with her. If the two of them fought, Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan wouldn't be able to help even if they worked together. Moreover, Xianyuan Rongyan would be a burden. She can live, but I have to guarantee that this woman won't leak a single word. Demon Venerables said coldly. No problem. I have to guarantee that if she speaks carelessly, I'll kill her myself. Zhang Yingshi replied firmly. Yi Qinghan flicked his finger and a wisp of black smoke hit the sword stone. It bounced back to Xianyuan Rongyan's back. The black smoke was formless and actually ignored her defense and rushed into Xianyuan Rongyan's body. Yi Qinghan, how dare you? What did you do? Zhang Yingshi asked angrily. Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently and whispered, Dojo Master Zhang, don't be angry. This is just a wisp of the insect queen's child bug. As long as Fairy Xianyuan is obedient, the child bug won't be a threat to her. However, if she has any ill intentions, she will die a miserable death. Like servant, like master. A pair of sluts. Zhang Yingshi reprimanded angrily. Thank you for the compliment. The divine bird appeared and said. Zhang Yingshi looked at the divine bird's wretched appearance and wanted to slap it to death. All right, since we've reached an agreement, let's go in. Demon Venerables said impatiently. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan walked in front while the other 3 followed behind. They quickly entered the underground palace. When they looked back, the array inside had changed. They had to rely on Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan to enter and exit. Otherwise, the 2 arrays would spin randomly inside and no one would be able to come out. The underground palace was gloomy and the eternal lamp was still burning. No one knew how long it had been burning. A group of people appeared at the corner of the underground palace's passage. Zhang Yingshi and Xianyuan Rongyan looked at the 8 words on the stone tablet and were so scared that their hearts almost twitched. Eternal tomb? How is that possible? Eternal sovereigns are immortal, they cannot die. Cold sweat trickled down Zhang Yingshi's back as he stared at the stone tablet in disbelief. Xianyuan Rongyan was already so frightened that she didn't know what to say. No wonder Yi Qinghan and the others wanted to kill her. If this kind of news were to spread, it would be strange if the world didn't fall into chaos. A frog at the bottom of a well. When you see the corpse, you will understand. There is nothing in this world that is immortal. Stars can be destroyed, all living things can be destroyed. Eternal sovereigns were not immortal. As long as we can find a way, we can also kill eternal sovereigns. From then on, eternal sovereigns will no longer be high and mighty. Ha ha! Fazhen laughed maniacally. Yi Qinghan and Jian Shisan looked at magic god demon Venerable's cruel appearance and became vigilant in their hearts. They both wanted to kill magic god demon Venerable here, but if they failed, they would also die, so the 2 of them did not dare to take the risk. The 5 of them passed through several palaces and arrived beside the crystal coffin. Looking at the corpse, their hair stood on end. Fazhen Demon Venerable looked greedily at the crystal coffin, wishing that he could fuse with the corpse. However, the crystal coffin was specially made and could not be opened unless one was an eternal sovereign. This corpse could only be seen from afar and could not be touched. Senior, you have studied it for so many years. Have you gained any experience? Yi Qinghan asked. Fazhen Demon Venerable pointed at the 3-foot cold sword and said excitedly, Look, after this cold sword cut open the eternal sovereign's flesh, the corpse clearly did not die immediately. However, the flesh and blood body showed no signs of healing. It is not that it does not want to heal, but it is suppressed by some kind of law and order. The body is like a dead body that is not under the control of the eternal sovereign. Look at the eyes of the Eternal Sovereign, and you will know how helpless and panicked he is. After so many years, you have studied this thing? The divine bird asked in astonishment. This sentence infuriated Fazhen Demon Venerable. This was something he had spent countless efforts to study, but in the eyes of the divine bird, it was useless. This was simply intolerable. Shut up. If you dare to speak nonsense again, I will kill you. Fazhen Demon Venerable roared. The divine bird shrank its head and said unhappily, I was just speaking the truth. Do you have to be so angry? Fazhen Demon Venerable became more and more furious. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to suppress the divine bird in his blood to shut it up. Otherwise, if it really angered Fazhen Demon Venerable, he would not be able to protect it. Everyone looked at the dignified face of the Eternal Sovereign. Indeed, there should not be helplessness and panic. However, this person's eyes were filled with such emotions. The sword wound on his chest was indeed unable to heal. It was as though it was controlled by some kind of will, depriving the Eternal Sovereign of all his abilities. This person's clothes and the tattoo on his arm do not seem to belong to our civilization. Zhang Yingshi sized up the corpse. The clothes were very strange. Even the tattoo on the arm was very strange. He had never seen such a creature before. Who cares which civilization he is from? As long as we have this method to kill an eternal sovereign, the world is at our disposal. I will make those high and mighty eternal sovereigns kneel before me and beg for mercy one day. Ha 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 ha. Fazhen Demon Venerable's face was distorted. Even his state of mind was somewhat distorted. Yi Qinghan stared at the Eternal Sovereign's corpse for a long time. Other than the problem that Fazhen Demon Venerable discovered, it seemed that there was nothing else worth studying about this corpse. Yi Qinghan turned around and looked at the rugged and winding halls of the underground palace. Every room was sealed by countless runes, as if they had never been opened before. Not a single one of them had been opened. He couldn't help but curiously turn around and feel the runes on the doors of a palace, sensing their will and rules. Fazhen Demon Venerable looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and said, Don't struggle. Those doors are sealed. I can't open them even after using all my strength, let alone you. Jian Shisan and Zhang Yingshi were very convinced by Fazhen Demon Venerable. They just looked at the runes on the doors and ignored them. Instead, they stared at the crystal coffin and walked back and forth, trying to figure out some secret technique. Yi Qinghan circled around the underground palace and found that the layout of the underground palace's rooms was a bit like a large-scale array. However, this array had never appeared in the world, and he could not see its layout in a short time. There were thousands of rooms in the underground palace. However, other than the passageways, there was no other way to walk. Yi Qinghan's divine sense approached the runes and found that the runes did not have much attack power. However, his entire soul felt numb and tingling, as if he was electrocuted. If he forcefully attacked, the rebound force was almost 10 times stronger than his own. Divine Bird, do you have any clues? I feel that the corpse doesn't have much research value. At least for us, it's impossible to study anything without opening the coffin. However, these rooms are sealed so tightly. There must be something good inside. Yi Qinghan said excitedly. The divine bird lay in Yi Qinghan's arms and looked at the door wretchedly. Occasionally, it stretched out its small claws to test the door. When it found that there was no danger, it became bolder. Chapter 1778. The runes appeared to be a faint black color. They were reserved and low-key. They looked ordinary and limitless, but experts knew that this was just becoming a saint. The more ordinary and plain something was, the more powerful it was. Otherwise, Lord Fazhen and Demon Venerable would have entered long ago. Yi Qinghan endured the damage caused by the runes and slowly studied the rules and order of the runes. However, a door was made up of countless runes. It would take a long time to completely understand a rune. If he wanted to open a door, Yi Qinghan estimated that it wouldn't be enough even if he spent all of his time. At this moment, Xianyuan Rongyan walked over with a helpless expression. She followed behind Yi Qinghan and pleaded pitifully, "Fellow Taoist Yi, I know this secret can't be revealed. Can you take the poisonous bug back?" Yi Qinghan looked at her coldly and continued to study the runes. Xianyuan Rongyan didn't dare to disturb him anymore. She could only lean against the door and silently look at Yi Qinghan's profile. She gradually became entranced. Her jade hand caressed the jade door as if she was caressing Yi Qinghan's face. The divine bird also lay on the jade door and stretched its head out to see what was inside the room. When Yi Qinghan, Xianyuan Rongyan, and the divine bird formed a straight line and touched the 3 hidden array points inside the runes, the entire stone door suddenly shone brightly. Then, the entire jade door rotated and directly sent the 2 into the room. "Ouch!" the divine bird cried out and fell into the room. Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Rongyan were shocked. They didn't have time to react before they were sent into the room. It was baffling. There was still an everlasting lamp in the room that had been burning for countless years. The room was simply decorated like an ordinary study. It was filled with books and messy papers on the table. The characters on the paper were fundamentally different from modern civilization, but there was a certain connection. They had never learned these characters, but they could recognize them. It was as if they had knowledge from their mother's womb. Yi Qinghan looked at the divine bird and Xianyuan Rongyan in shock. He asked in a deep voice, "What did you encounter just now?" The divine bird and Xianyuan Rongyan were also dumbfounded. They simply didn't know what was going on and shook their heads one after another. Yi Qinghan did not have time to ask any more questions. He began to look around the room. There were a dozen or so medicine bottles on the bookshelf, and each bottle had a note on it. However, he couldn't read some of the words, so he could only make out the general meaning. The 10 absolute sealing pills can seal a person's 8 extraordinary meridians and seal the dantian and sea of consciousness of a half-step eternal expert. Once consumed, they won't be able to use even a drop of divine power. You'll become a cripple. Yi Qinghan looked at the annotation on the first bottle and couldn't help but be shocked. This was a 16th grade holy pill. Even if he had the materials and pill formula, he wouldn't be able to refine it. Good treasure. There are as many as 15 of them. Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to put it into his Qiankuan sleeve. He had learned this move from Sword 13, and it was very good for hiding things. The blood power divine pill can instantly tap into the potential of an expert's blood and qi. At the cost of one's life, one can burn one's blood and qi to instantly multiply one's battle strength by 100-fold. One pill can burn 1,000,000 years of a half-step eternal expert's life. After burning one's blood and qi, it can't be repaired unless one steps into the next realm. Yi Qinghan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Instantly increasing one's battle strength by 100-fold, wasn't this equivalent to a newly promoted half-step eternal expert swallowing a blood power divine pill could kill a veteran half-step eternal expert? The blood-boosting saint pill can be used together with the blood power divine pill. It can reduce the side effects by 80%. All of them were 16th grade holy pills. Yi Qinghan took away all the pills. None of them were of use to him for the time being. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. Xianyuan Rongyan watched Yi Qinghan take away the bottles of holy pills. She wanted to ask for a bottle, but she didn't dare to open her mouth. Yi Qinghan looked at Xianyuan Rongyan's pitiful appearance, shrugged, and said, "Take a look at any ancient books you like here. You can take 2. After that, Yi Qinghan looked for powerful secret techniques and divine technique. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but Yi Qinghan's eyes fell on a secret technique with 4 words written on it: Flame Spirit Divine Technique. A 16th grade secret technique based on the fire origin. If one wanted to cultivate the Flame Spirit Divine Technique, One must have a fire origin body and control a 15th grade divine flame or above. With the divine flame as the guide, the power of the divine flame could be amplified by 10 times. Yi Ching Han sucked in a breath of cold air. If he could amplify the power of the blue flame demonic flame by 10 times, even an ordinary half-step eternal expert would have to retreat. Good stuff. Yi Ching Han didn't have time to cultivate it, so he put it into his Qiankuan sleeve. Then, he flipped through the other ancient secret technique. Many of them didn't suit him, or he didn't like them at all. However, he still put them away without hesitation. After all, there were so many brothers and sisters in the crazy sect. After a while, Yi Ching Han found another secret technique, or rather, a large array diagram. The open cloud array diagram used a large array as the foundation and the stars and clouds as the array core. It could be used to kill experts more than 10 times stronger than oneself. It was especially suitable for group battles. With the open cloud array diagram, one could conquer all rivers in the world. Yi Ching Han excitedly put the open cloud array diagram and the flame spirit divine technique together, preparing to keep them for himself to cultivate. At this moment, the divine bird suddenly screamed and roared, "This divine bird is rich! Ha ha ha, I finally found a way to break through to the Sector Lord realm." Now, most of the people in the crazy sect had entered the Sector Lord realm. Yi Ching Han's divine pets had also entered the Sector Lord realm and even advanced to the higher levels. However, the divine bird was still worried about the Sector Lord realm. Looking at it holding a secret technique and laughing wildly, Yi Ching Han and Xianyuan Rongyan couldn't help but look curiously. Beast Emperor Shaft. It recorded the evolution methods of countless vicious beasts. Some vicious beasts even spread their wings and covered the sky, killing peak half-step eternal experts and advancing to the eternal realm. The divine bird looked at the records and trembled with joy. Its fat buttocks twisted and turned, and it bared its teeth. It was extremely wretched. Wait for me to transform, I'll flirt with all the beauties in the world. The heavens will treat me well, ha 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 ha. The divine bird was extremely wretched, and its expression was very much like a wretched man. Xianyuan Rongyan looked at the divine bird's smug appearance and couldn't help but want to laugh. If it was a man, it would be fine, but a feathered beast actually wanted to flirt with all the beauties in the world. It was a bit ridiculous. Yi Ching Han curled his lips and said disdainfully, "I feel that even if I give you the Beast Emperor Shaft, you may not be able to cultivate to the Sector Lord realm." The divine bird looked at him with contempt and said in a strange voice, "Tisk, tsk, tsk, this divine bird's goal is no longer the Sector Lord realm. I want to become an eternal expert, I want to enslave an eternal expert. Ha ha." Cough, cough, cough. Yi Ching Han and Xianyuan Rongyan were frightened by the divine bird's great ambition. They coughed and almost couldn't breathe. Okay, old man, you are awesome. Hurry up and cultivate. If you can become an eternal expert, remember to protect me. Yi Ching Han was too lazy to say anything more and impatiently turned to look for the divine technique he needed. Of course, this divine bird is loyal and righteous. If I don't protect you, who will I protect? The divine bird held the Beast Emperor Shaft tightly, afraid that someone would snatch it away, and boasted shamelessly. Chapter 1779. Yi Ching Han and Xianyuan Rongyan no longer cared about the divine bird and allowed it to show off. They focused on finding a secret technique that was suitable for them. Yi Ching Han turned the entire room upside down, but he didn't see a spear hanging on the roof. The color of the spear was almost the same as the color of the room. Even the tip of the spear was black, so if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't notice the spear at all. Yi Ching Han casually tossed 2 secret techniques to Xianyuan Rongyan. These were the ones he found alone that were suitable for women to cultivate. It could be considered as pleasing her. He hoped that she wouldn't tell the three of them about what happened here. Otherwise, he would definitely have to share most of the benefits with Sword 13 and the rest. Xianyuan Rongyan was tactful and repeatedly promised that she wouldn't tell anyone. Only then did Yi Qinghan look at the door and think about how to get out. At this moment, Sword 13 and the rest were racking their brains to comprehend the Eternal Corp. They were so engrossed that they didn't know that Yi Qinghan and Xianyuan Rongyan had already been swept into the room. Yi Qinghan racked his brains to make Xianyuan Rongyan and the divine bird think about what they had done before they came in. If they couldn't get out, wouldn't they be trapped in this room to death? Yi Qinghan probed a few times, but he still couldn't find the other party's direction. He couldn't help but raise his head and stare blankly. The spear was hanging above his head. If he didn't stare, he really wouldn't be able to see that there was a spear above his head. Yi Qinghan leaped up lightly and reached out to grab the spear. However, the spear was so heavy that it directly pressed him down from the roof. He fell heavily on the ground. The veins on his arms bulged, and he actually couldn't hold it. F***ck, what a heavy iron spear! Yi Qinghan said in shock. Yi Qinghan's corporeal body was extremely strong, but it was strenuous for him to hold this spear alone. He didn't know what material it was made of. The runes on the spear bulged and could cause slight friction with the spear in his hand. It couldn't be let go, so it was definitely a handy weapon. Although the spear tip was black, it emitted a cold aura. He could feel the aura of death before he even got close. The spearhead's material must have come from hell. Yi Qinghan spoke up with certainty. It should be a weapon used by an eternal sovereign when he was young. It's a 16th grade half-step eternal spirit artifact, and its grade should surpass that of the dusk metal rod. Yi Qinghan picked up the dark metal rod from his back and compared it with the dark metal rod. He immediately realized that there was a huge difference between the two weapons. Even if they were both wielding different weapons, the difference in power would be dozens of times greater. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and was extremely excited. However, the level of this divine artifact was beyond his imagination and he could not hide it at all. Unless he refined it into his natal divine artifact and integrated it with himself, he might be able to hide it from the eyes of the three people outside the door. At this moment, Yi Qinghan did not really want to go out. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the ground and bathed the spear in his own blood. He formed a seal with his palms and placed the spear on his arms. He wanted to completely refine it into his natal treasure and make it his foundation. Xianyuan Rongyan sat at the table and waited silently. She stared at Yi Qinghan and found that she would easily lose focus whenever she looked at his weather-beaten handsome face. Yi Qinghan's mind was one and he wanted to fuse with the iron spear. However, the iron spear's level was terrifying, and the laws of order inside were extremely powerful. Although the artifact's spirit inside had been scared away, it was still daunting. Fortunately, the Eternal Sovereign had scared away the artifact's spirit inside. Otherwise, with Yi Qinghan's strength, he would not be able to refine it even if he was given 100 years. Yi Qinghan's mind was one and his spiritual force skyrocketed. The blue flame demon fire burned his life essence blood and consumed a small amount of his life to refine the spear. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Yi Qinghan's spiritual force and willpower were extremely strong. In order to make the spear submit, he even brought out his unyielding momentum. The spear radiated light in all directions, but it still looked very ordinary. Yi Qinghan's hands trembled and almost fell out of his hands. Yi Qinghan's eyes burst out with terrifying willpower. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood, bathing the spear once again. The runes on the spear shot out a brilliant light that enveloped Yi Qinghan's arm and almost merged with it. Time passed little by little. Yi Qinghan desperately absorbed the ultimate meaning of the spear's runes, and a terrifying spear art appeared in his sea of consciousness. Cyan Rainbow Spear Art. There were a total of 7 styles, and each spear could produce the same momentum as every day. Whoosh, whoosh, buzz. A stalwart figure stood on an independent star, holding a long spear in his hand. He seemed to have merged with heaven and earth. He thrust out his spear, which seemed ordinary and boundless. However, the sky collapsed, the mountains and rivers flowed in reverse, and a wave of energy swept across the universe, directly turning the half-step eternal expert into nothingness. Boom! The second spear stabbed out powerfully. The star was like a decaying dead tree, fragile in front of the spear. Boom! The star exploded and turned into powder. Yi Qinghan's momentum at this moment was like that of a war god. It overlapped with this person's back, and the blood in his body was rapidly consumed. Puff! Yi Qinghan's vitality was too low. He simply couldn't bear such a huge consumption. A mouthful of blood essence sprayed on the spear. The spear whistled and vibrated in his hand. Then, with a thought from Yi Qinghan, it turned into a trace of imprint hidden in his palm, ready to be mobilized at any time. To subdue this spear, Yi Qinghan had almost exhausted his vitality. He only had a few hundred years left, and death was close at hand. At this moment, his body was emitting the aura of death, and that kind of pressure made it difficult for him to breathe. Xianyuan Rongyan was stunned at this moment. She had never seen such a man. Just like the Eternal Sovereign, she didn't dare to go against his will. Yi Qinghan subdued the spear and saw the Eternal Sovereign's strength when he was young. He even learned 2 moves of the Rainbow Spear technique. He could really be compared to the Eternal Sovereign when he was young. He slowly stood up, and his body emitted the aura of endless vicissitudes. It was as if he had been sitting here for countless years. Yi Qinghan turned around slightly, looked at Xianyuan Rongyan, and said coldly, "You didn't see anything today, do you understand?" Xianyuan Rongyan quickly stood up from the chair. Her legs went soft, and she almost knelt in front of Yi Qinghan. She nodded repeatedly, and her eyes were full of reverence. Yi Qinghan absorbed a part of the Eternal Sovereign's will. The runes in front of him were no longer an obstacle. He waved his hand and pressed his palm on the jade door, and the jade door automatically opened. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took away the divine bird and Xianyuan Rongyan. At this moment, Jian Shan and the rest were still eagerly comprehending the corpse. Yi Qinghan took a few light steps and turned a few corners. Seeing that the 3 of them didn't notice him entering the room, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. "Principal Zhang, Senior Fazhen, Brother Shan, did you guys comprehend anything?" Yi Qinghan brought Xianyuan Rongyan over and asked curiously. Jian Shan frowned. He couldn't comprehend anything in a short period of time, and could only shake his head. Zhang Yingshi and Fazhen also shook their heads and asked, "Aren't you also doing something useless? These jade doors are sealed by countless runes. It's impossible to enter. Why don't we comprehend together? Maybe we can discover something." Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. "I don't have much vitality left. If I can't refine the longevity pill, I will definitely die. So I can't stay in the underground palace with you guys. I have to go out and wait for news from the Sacred Spirit Trading Company." Chapter 1780. With the 3 experts' cultivation levels, they could naturally see that Yi Qinghan's body was emitting a deathly aura. It had already gathered and could transform into the Tao at any time, so they did not stop him. At this moment, Jian Shan hoped that Yi Qinghan was still alive. After all, Zhang Yingshi and Fazhen Demon Venerable were old monsters. Without Yi Qinghan by his side, Jian Shan would always be on tenterhooks. "Do you want me to ask Senior Brother Sword Supremacy to personally take action? Perhaps he can purchase the reincarnation Tao fruit," Jian Shan said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. If he wanted to help, he would have asked for it back in the sacred hall. There's no need to bother him. Let's leave it to fate. At most, I'll pluck Yin and replenish Yang. I'll take it easy and not kill anyone. When Zhang Yingshi heard this, she immediately rebuked angrily. A pair of scums. Scum. Who are you calling scum? Can't you be reasonable? This divine bird is tolerating you because you're as beautiful as a flower. How can you be afraid of me every time you see me? Do I owe you money or did I peek at you? The divine bird asked angrily. Yi Qinghan was not willing to tolerate it any longer. He sneered. Dojo Master Zhang is so angry. Are you jealous? I'm already half dead. Do you still want me to be righteous and sacrifice myself for justice? You're courting death. Zhang Yingshi suddenly stood up. She waved her hand and a divine sword appeared in her hand. She wanted to draw her sword and kill Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan sneered. He grabbed the dark metal rod and said, "Look at me. Do I look like someone who's afraid of death? When I fought so many people in the great Buddha city, did you see me beg for mercy? You've spoken rudely to me time and time again. Blame me for being nice to you. This time, you better treat me better. Otherwise, I'll pluck your head one day." Roar. Zhang Yingshi was enraged and could not hold it in any longer. She drew her sword and was about to kill Yi Qinghan. However, Fa Zhen did not dare to let her do it. He hurriedly stopped her and stood in front of Yi Qinghan. He stared at Zhang Yingshi and said firmly, "We are now in a cooperative relationship. You better not ruin our relationship. It's not like you don't know about Yi Qinghan's situation. If it were you, would you just sit and wait for death? This old man hates people like you who stand on the moral high ground and do all kinds of bad things. You don't even allow others to do things that benefit everyone just to survive. What's the difference between you and those people from Blessed Buddha Temple?" Zhang Yingshi's breathing stagnated, and he nearly fainted from anger. Yi Qinghan sneered. He turned around and walked out of the underground palace, completely ignoring Zhang Yingshi. Xianyuan Rongyan promptly asked Zhang Yingshi for instructions and respectfully asked, "My lord, can I also go out?" Zhang Yingshi took a deep breath. His chest heaved up and down, and his hands trembled. He wanted to put his sword back, but he failed several times. It seemed that he was driven mad by Yi Qinghan. "Go back. Heaven Chant House cannot be without a master for a day. If there's anything, come in and inform me. Remember, don't leak out what happened here. Otherwise, we'll all die. It'll be difficult for the world to be peaceful again." "Yes." After receiving permission, Xianyuan Rongyan immediately chased after Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan quickly left the passage. He felt Xianyuan Rongyan following him, but he did not turn around. He only said coldly, "Follow me closely. Otherwise, don't blame me if you die here." Xianyuan Rongyan pitifully tugged on Yi Qinghan's battle robe, afraid that she would lose track of him. After leaving the Yu clan's backyard, the sky outside was already dark. Yi Qinghan quickly left the Yu clan and went straight to the manor. He wanted to dual cultivate with Yu Qingqing to make up for the essence he had used up today. After all, a few hundred years of life was too short. If he was slightly careless, he would die. This would be a permanent death, and there would be no second chance to reincarnate. Sigh. The king's sigh was filled with desolation and despair, making people's noses sour. Xianyuan Rongyan looked at Yi Qinghan's back as he left. On the desolate street, he seemed even more weary and helpless. The tip of her nose was sore and she almost shed tears. She wanted to rush up and volunteer to let Yi Qinghan pluck her yin to replenish his yang, but she did not have the courage. After a long time, just as Yi Qinghan was about to step into the manor, Xianyuan Rongyan flew up and said respectfully, "Lord Yi, as long as you need, you can go to the Heavenly Chant Inn at any time. I will prepare virgins for you, as long as you don't kill them." Yi Qinghan turned to look at Xianyuan Rongyan. He nodded and said in a muffled voice, "Okay, thank you." After saying that, Yi Qinghan turned and stepped into the manor. He closed the door, leaving Xianyuan Rongyan alone in a daze. In the enlightened true Lord's holy land, enlightened true Lord's expression was grave. He watched the two girls leave the snowy mountain under the escort of 3 middle-aged men. His eyes were full of worry. There are so many disasters. Even though I am high above, I can't protect you. The one who tied the bell should untie it. In the end, you have to rely on yourselves to resolve your calamities. Enlightened true Lord sighed sadly. The heavy snow swirled in the air, confusing the 9 heavens. 2 stunning beauties who seemed to have yet to reach adulthood were galloping towards the south. The divine clothes on their bodies exuded divine light, and the fine steel wheels under their feet allowed them to fly in the sky, ignoring the confinement of the sky. Sister, let's see who will reach the war race's territory first. Do you think I'm afraid of you? A small voice like a silver bell whistled in the cold wind and spread into the distance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures flashed. Their white robes had an excellent camouflage effect in the snow. The 3 middle-aged men behind them were getting farther and farther away. They couldn't help but feel anxious. Little junior sister, slow down a bit. These 3 people were all half-step eternal sovereigns, but they had become the bodyguards of 2 little girls. Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing's reincarnations had officially stepped into the Jianghu to gain experience. Their life and death calamities were unknown. Even enlightened true Lord couldn't guarantee their survival, let alone Yi Qinghan, an ant-like existence. Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing still didn't know that they were reincarnations. Now, they were running as fast as lightning, chasing the stars and seizing the moon. Even the half-step eternal sovereigns could only follow them from afar. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was lying dispiritedly in the courtyard. His head was leaning on Lu Qingqing's thigh. His eyes were lifeless. The life essence in his body was dissipating faster and faster. Even plucking yin to replenish yang couldn't restore his vitality. However, the people of the Sacred Spirit Trading Company sent news that they had bought all the other materials, but there was still no news about the reincarnation Dao fruit. Does the heavens want me to die? Yi Qinghan looked at the stars in the sky and said to himself in despair. No, you're a bad guy. Bad guys always live long. Lu Qingqing hugged Yi Qinghan's arm tightly and said in a trembling voice. Yi Qinghan smiled hoarsely, sat up slowly and whispered, There are more than 90 years left. If I can't find the reincarnation Dao fruit, I can only go to hell. When the divine bird heard this, it immediately exploded. If you go to hell, you will definitely die. The Lord of Hell is probably waiting for you. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and asked, Is there a better way? Chapter 1781. The courtyard was quiet and secluded. The beautiful spring scenery was especially gorgeous. Yi Qinghan leaned against those perfect long legs. His mood was gloomy and his expression was lazy as he squinted at the lowly divine bird. Is there a better way? Yi Qinghan asked. The divine bird wretchedly shook its head and said, No, but before you go, undo my contract. I'll wait for you in the prefecture city. At least if you die, I can help you get revenge. I'll contact your brothers and sisters and help you find Little Master and Fairy Xiaoxing, right? Yi Qinghan sneered. The divine bird was good at everything, but its despicable mouth made people want to slap it. Even if he died, he wanted to bring it along with him. At least he would have a companion. Time flew by. Yi Qinghan entered the Heaven Chant Dojo several times. The despicable method of replenishing yang could only maintain the consumption. His lifespan was still slowly decreasing. Just like that, 90 years became 50 years. 50 years. To a Sector Lord Level 8 expert, what was this? It was as if once he closed his eyes, he would never wake up again. The Sacred Spirit Trading Company had been purchasing materials for several decades. Almost every year they would report to the prefecture city. They had found 4 sets of extreme yin and yang divine herbs. As for other materials, they had purchased even more. However, the reincarnation Tao fruit was like the clouds in the sky. They knew it was there, but they couldn't touch it. I don't have much time left. I am prepared to make a trip to hell and personally search for the reincarnation Tao fruit. Yi Qinghan was dressed in black. He held the golden altar gold and was prepared to die in hell. At least, he would die on the way to war. The divine bird sighed. It couldn't stop Yi Qinghan. It seemed like it could only accompany Yi Qinghan to his death. The heavens are jealous of geniuses. This divine bird has just found a way to reach the Sector Lord realm. Now I am forced to die. I am unwilling. The divine bird raised its head and roared. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at the divine bird and snorted. What's the hurry? Tomorrow is the day when the Sacred Spirit Trading Company will deliver the goods. Who knows? Almighty Eternal Lord, Almighty Heavens, please open your eyes. Tomorrow I'll bring you good news. From now on, I'll worship you with all my heart. The divine bird laid on the bed in despair. It spread its wings and raised its feet to the sky. Yi Qinghan. At this moment, Lin Wuqian and Jian Qinxue had crossed the Blessed Buddha Temple's territory and were approaching Fire Beacon City. The two of them had encountered a lot of trouble along the way. However, Lin Wuqian's combat strength was not bad. They had been scared but not in danger. Jian Qinxue had almost never made a move, nor did he need to. Lin Wuqian's cultivation increased very quickly. He had already climbed to the pinnacle of Sector Lord Level 6 and was closing in on Sector Lord Level 7. His battle prowess had increased by a few hundred times. Every time he attacked, he would definitely kill. The two of them stepped into Fire Beacon City and inquired about Yi Qinghan. Finally, they found traces of Yi Qinghan. Insane manner. When Jian Qinxue and Lin Wuqian heard this name, they were overjoyed. The two of them paid some money and used the teleportation array in Fire Beacon City to head straight to heaven-suppressing Prefecture City. That night, Yi Qinghan was enjoying himself with Yu Qingqing. After a few rounds of battle, Yi Qinghan felt more and more exhausted. He had the will but no strength, and his qi and blood were running low. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to live for another 50 years. Yu Qingqing was extremely sad. She looked at Yi Qinghan in despair and said sadly, "Is there really no other divine herb that can replace the reincarnation Tao fruit?" Yi Qinghan shook his head and murmured, "The reincarnation Tao fruit contains the ultimate yin in the world and the order of reincarnation. Only it can allow my body and soul to transcend life and death. It is the true main ingredient. The other ingredients, including the ultimate yin and yang divine herbs, are just supplementary ingredient." Yu Qingqing sighed and allowed Yi Qinghan to lie on her lap. She gently played the zither to help Yi Qinghan rest. These days, Yi Qinghan couldn't even sleep properly. His life force was being consumed faster and faster. The melody of heaven and earth reverberated in the courtyard. Everything danced to the melody. Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and was about to fall asleep. Dong dong dong. The hurried knocking on the door woke up Yi Qinghan from his rest. The manor's housekeeper knew very well that if there wasn't anything important, no one would come to disturb him. "What is it?" The zither stopped and Yu Qingqing asked with a clear voice. "There are 2 people outside the manor, a man and a woman. They are both very young and said they are from the insane sect. They are here to visit the manor master and we couldn't chase them away. They insisted that they are City Lord's old friends." The housekeeper replied respectfully. "Xiao." Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and immediately jumped up and rushed out of the manor. The divine bird opened its sleepy eyes and murmured, "Did I hear wrongly? People from the insane sect?" Yu Qingqing didn't know about Yi Qinghan's past and asked curiously, "People from the insane sect? Does Qinghan have a wife?" The divine bird rolled its eyes and replied lazily, "Only a few, but most of them are dead. He still has a wife. If she comes, you have to be respectful. Otherwise, don't blame me for not reminding you. Even I don't dare to joke with her. Yi Qingqing looked unhappy and replied with a drawl, "Oh." Outside the manor, Yi Qinghan suddenly opened the door and saw Lin Wutian and Jian Qinxue standing outside. He immediately reached out and hugged Jian Qinxue. Jian Qinxue had a cold physique and a treasured body of extreme yin. This was excellent news for Yi Qinghan. "I didn't expect you to come. Where are the others?" Yi Qinghan held Jian Qinshue's hand and asked excitedly. "Second Master, the others have scattered and gone to different holy lands. They are afraid that the hell will take revenge. There are no masters in the 9 states now." Lin Wutian looked at Yi Qinghan's old face and felt a sense of decay. He couldn't help but feel shocked and asked, "Second Master, what's wrong with you?" Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and replied in a tired and hoarse voice, "It's a long story. Let's go in and talk." Yi Qinghan led the two into the courtyard. Yi Qingqing looked at Yi Qinghan holding Jian Qinshue's hand and couldn't help but look back at the divine bird. When she saw the divine bird nodding, she hurriedly said respectfully, "Greetings, sister." Jian Qinshu looked at Yi Qingqing and glanced at Yi Qinghan. She snorted but didn't blame her. Men always had needs. She was in the inner realm, while he was alone in the outside world. He needed a companion. Instead of being jealous at this time, she might as well show the power of an elder sister. As long as they were respectful to her, she would be fine. "Well, you don't have to salute me. Thanks to you taking care of Qinghan these days, I am less worried," Jian Qinshu said faintly. Yi Qinghan smiled embarrassedly. He didn't want to make Jian Qinshu angry, so he hurriedly pulled her to sit on his lap and said softly, "I have no choice. I only have a little vitality left. I need to gather yin and yang to replenish my vitality. You are not by my side, you are so naughty. The child is still here. Let go of me." Jian Qinshu kicked Yi Qinghan and said coquettishly. Lin Wutian smiled awkwardly and hurriedly got up and said, "Second Master, I will go to the mansion to take a look. You and Master's wife can have a chat first." After saying that, Lin Wutian hurriedly pulled the divine bird away, leaving Yi Qinghan, Jian Qinshu, and Yi Qingqing in the elegant courtyard. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.